Has been practically over the years. Because none of them live here. We're gonna have those.
No, I know, but
Whichever way you want.
yeah, we're gonna
You
get
don't
that.
need to
I'll
do
catch you
that.
later.
Okay.
I know, but but I wanted to let you know I wanted enough. I just told her I'd get one. And the other thing,
I request others to be in the way up here.
I don't think it's gonna be very many, but
Yeah, if you put them side by side, either maybe right here.
firecrackers.
Oh, your
Okay. You wanna do that, get rid of
That's
it.
good stuff.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we had more for the others.
I'd like to call the city council meeting to order for
I never got it. I'm going over.
for
Comes up and gives,
May 27th, 2014.
you have to give their residential address and the word there.
Where's Reverend Jackson? TJ,
I don't think it's specified.
where are you?
There it is.
Okay, please. And Dale,
Yes, sir.
I told him to give a Methodist prayer. He said he could.
Shall we pray? Oh, gracious God, our Father, how we thank you for the privilege, the benefit, and the responsibility of this day. Pray now that you would lead and guide us in this deliberation. We pray now that you would anoint especially for these moments and for this deliberation, these men and women who have accepted the responsibility of leadership. Pray now that you would grant them the serenity to accept the things they cannot change, the courage to change the things that they can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We pray that you would, as you have assigned and allowed us to choose leaders, that you would allow them to lead from a fiduciary, a fiscal, and a moral perspective that will redound to the benefit of the citizens of Shreveport. We ask these blessings in Christ's name. Amen.
Dale, that was a good prayer. I'm gonna have to take him up to Benton with me sometimes. We'll go up to Benton.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. McCullough?
Here.
Mr. Everson?
Here.
Mr. Oliver Jenkins? Mr. Corbin?
Here.
Mr. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Sam Jenkins?
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the
Second.
administrative conference of May 12, 2014, and city
Oh,
council meeting of...
Okay, it's been
May
moved
13th.
by Councilman Jeff Everson and second by Councilman Ron Webb for the approval of the minutes of the administrative conference on May 12th and the city council meeting Tuesday, May 13th. All in favor vote yes. Opposers no. 7-0 vote. Minutes have been approved. We're going to change this just a little bit, and I'm sorry. Oliver, what number is that?
Stand by.
Your fireworks.
36, ordinance 36.
36. If the council doesn't mind, we're going to change that, and let's, Mr. Thompson, let's take up ordinance number 36. And we have some people that would like to speak on that. How many?
I guess, do we first need a motion to suspend the rules, or what do we, tell me?
Well, we can get a motion to suspend the rules either.
Okay, I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay. It's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by his youngest brother, or either oldest brother, Sam Jenkins. All in favor vote yes, opposers
I
no.
didn't say more attractive.
On fireworks, okay. This is fireworks too. On public. Ron,
Yes, sir.
I see you got a large group with you. How many,
Just put in
Of my group that wish to speak,
yes, how many you got that would wish to speak?
wearing,
I believe I only have two, right? Let me see. I only have two, Ron, is that?
Is one of them-
and you just
who's the
wanna
other
show-
one?
you just-
Jeff Camden?
The rest of them just wanna show for us?
yes, sir.
Okay. I don't want Oliver to get intimidated up here, so that's why I asked.
Fighter pilot, come on.
Oliver and Sam.
Come on.
Very likely.
But thank you.
and then
Just five.
Do you have, you have myself and who else, Councilman Joe Shine, that wishes to speak?
Okay, where's the
No, I didn't see him.
Honorable David Cox? All right.
You want to go first, Mr. Cox, or you good?
All right, Ron, you want, come on.
If you don't mind, thank you so much for allowing us to speak to you.
And let me, Ron,
Yes, sir.
let me say this. We got a public hearing too, and we're gonna try to adhere to the 3-minute rule.
Yes, sir.
Anybody who's speaking today, we're gonna try to adhere to the,
You know what it is?
3-minute rule.
I will gladly do so.
Thank you, Ron.
Mayor Cedric Glover and the City Council, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, Joe Shine. Thank you for this privilege to speak to you. I'm here asking you, the City Council, to vote no on the ordinance as it is proposed, ordinance number 36. And it's also been determined that my City Councilman now is Michael Corbin, and I'm thankful for that. And I believe Michael Corbin has issued the best plan for the whole firework industry. He has suggested to the council on 2 occasions that it will be far less confusing and can be better enforced if the people of Shreveport be allowed to shoot fireworks at the same time that we're allowed to sell. I'm going to stand by my councilman. I'm not going to desert my councilman. I'm not going to leave a man behind. Thank you, Councilman Corbin.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Ron?
I still got 2 minutes, may I?
Sure.
Here we go. Fireworks season, whether it be 4th of July, is not just about a bang or lights, but memories, experiences, and traditions. It is neighbors coming together for block parties, friends, families, churches, and civic groups, getting together for much-needed fellowship. Fellowship that is important for our city. And the joy of a child firing up his first sparkler with his parents. Memories. It is time to honor our peacekeepers who are here, as well as those who have gone before us. Purchasing our freedom. Honor. I know that some of you have had a few complaints about the noise of fireworks, and I also know that no one has called you thanking you for the privilege of shooting fireworks. Nobody. So I'd like for the council this 4th of July season to do something for me and yourself. After you vote no on Ordinance 36, I would like for you to get outside and listen to the sights and the sounds of the fireworks. Even these people didn't call you and make your phone ring. I wish you to hear the sounds of freedom ringing. Citizens have a short period of time already for which they have the privilege of paying tribute to our United States. We should embrace the sights and the sounds of fireworks, for they symbolize today the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, as they continue to prove to us that our flag and our freedom are still here. So let freedom ring, ring, ring. Thank you, Council.
Ron, you're quite poetic. Quite poetic.
Teacher,
All right, that's right. Dave,
preacher's kid.
me and you both. There you go. Me
We're
and
gonna
you
have 2
both.
other Jenkins here.
That's right, me and you both.
We're not going to go a lot further back in that family tree. We're not.
Okay.
I'm gonna waddle up here. I just had back surgery 4 weeks ago, so this is David Cox, 2633 Lyles Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana, Southern Hills. This issue's kind of kind of near and dear to my heart because, hey, we grew up popping fireworks. I had my kids. We had block parties, just like Ron just said, where everybody got together and we popped fireworks. And we had certain days to do that. Now, does somebody bend the law every now and then and just acts like a complete fool? Yeah. But that's why we have the police department. That's why you have the right to call in and complain if somebody's breaking the law within the fireworks ordinances. But this is something that you can't knock back. You're talking about revenue not only for the city, but for the parish. Enjoyment for not only the older folks, but the younger folks. Vote no on this today. Support a tradition, not only in Shreveport and Caddo Parish, but for across the country. Because if we start mandating our tradition and cutting back on tradition, we've given up our country. We've given up our heritage. We've given up our line of sight. So think hard when you vote today, and think of the kids that go to work during the summer. You get that little change in your pocket, and we're always saying, well, we need something for the kids to do. They're actually giving something for the kids to do who want to do it. So, any questions?
I just have one. So, obviously,
I knew you was going to ask me instead of Ron.
Well, because since I have a little trouble following what he's proposed to us that we limit the day of sales at this point, which to me, my fear of limiting the day of sales has a similar impact to what you're suggesting. I'm going to ask you, as the ordinances are presented right now, what in your mind are they doing?
Probably so.
And I'll be honest with you.
Most of them.
I go to the ordinances that y'all have on the books right now, and I'm fine with those. I haven't seen what Mr. Corbin has offered. I haven't seen those yet. I am just up here giving you my opinion of fireworks sales.
Okay, so you're not sure what these amendments that we're actually
Haven't seen them yet, no.
Okay. Because most every point that you've brought up is in line with our proposal. So that's not what we are.
Well,
we're not proposing and not being able to shoot fireworks.
Well, I've heard some proposals through the grapevine, and that's why I'm down here today. That's why I crawled out of bed today to get up here, because some of the stuff I heard just wasn't going to go. And then I get down here and hear there's another proposal from Ron. So
I got you. Okay. Well, I guess I'm a little, just wanted to find out how you could say that, and then that isn't what's being proposed.
that's what I grew up on.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, because plenty of people, that's not the intent to stop fireworks, nor the sale of fireworks.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Ron, again, I think I only saw two. That was you and Dave. Now, what I'd like for you to do is all those beautiful people that you brought down with you, I would appreciate if they would stand. This is to show. To show your support. Appreciate it. You all may take your seat now. Now I don't generally do this, but if it's anybody that didn't sign and you'd like to say hi, hello, or you'd like to give your reason, I'm gonna give you that opportunity. Don't generally do this, because if you don't sign to speak, we don't generally let you speak. But me being an old country boy with a heart made of gold, I guess it's no one. Councilman Jenkins, if it's all right with the council, we'll take up number 36 at this point.
Would you like for me to read it, Mr. Chairman?
I would, if I just want to let them know that this is what we're planning to do. So, Mr. Clerk, if you would read that, and I'll accept the motion to either postpone, to pass, or to vote down.
Ordinance
Vote it
number,
up.
number 36 amends and reenacts Article 4 of Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances relative to fireworks and otherwise provides with respect thereto. Two amendments have been proposed. Would you like for me to read number 2 or?
I guess
What is it, Oliver?
I'm going to make a motion on number 2 initially, and
Okay.
I get a second if somebody prefers amendment number 1 and they want to do that.
Amendment number 2 adds December the 24th and 25th to the days on which fireworks may be discharged.
Oh, I guess you have to read amendment number 1, because it's, amendment number 2 is amending amendment number 1.
No,
Oh, it's just.
they're separate, you can pick
I
one
got
or
you.
the other. But I thought, this is slow and coming up, I thought that was,
You want to give,
you're right. Never mind.
Okay, I have one administrative question. And I'm not sure it's a typo in our current ordinance or in our amending ordinance. But Ron brought up that in our existing ordinance, we have that you can sell fireworks on the 5th of July.
I believe that is in what the current ordinance says.
Now, is that that is by state law? Is it something to do with maybe refunding or returning fireworks?
I'm trying to pull it up here, but I think that just is what the law is. You can
But-
shoot them until July 5th. And
You can shoot
our
or you-
ordinance is based on state law, but I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know if it's
That's not what
exactly the
this
same.
ordinance says.
And that's what this, that is not what this ordinance says. So that's, the debate on the sale date, which as I described in the beginning, was never my intention to change the sale parameters. So I think inadvertently, when it says sale of fireworks, it goes through July 4th, but I think our existing ordinance, the sales go through July 5th.
I'm trying to pull it up, the computer is not pulling it up.
And
don't know
I believe
what
this
the
was
problem
Ron, you sent me in the email. So I'm inclined, based on that, to, from the beginning, is to keep the sale dates as they were existing and then just change the days of spending fireworks. So we may need to go on to some other business while we work on this, Councilman Shine.
That's fine. Ron, you understand that, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Since,
I think I have it now.
Okay.
Okay. And this is the current ordinance, which Jackie just found for me. Treats both the sale and the discharge the same way. And it says it's prohibited in the city limits except from noon, June 25th through 10 p.m., July 5th. And then there's also the December dates. So it's the same for the sale and the discharge under the current ordinance.
Okay. Then, I guess for amendment 3, line K, I would like to say dates and hours for sale of fireworks, 25th through 10 p.m. June 5th. July 5th, excuse me.
So the sale, okay.
The sale date, because from the beginning, the intent was the sale dates to not change.
Right.
And I can postpone.
I guess that's probably the way I wrote it, and I'm just now getting it to come up here. So under the current ordinance, you could sell and discharge through July 5th. So when I wrote it, it did not make sense to me to say you could only discharge them through July 4th, but you could still sell them on July 5th. So I think I changed that because I thought it was logical. But if that's not what you wanted, we
That
can
is
rewrite
why I would
that.
not want somebody to say that I'm preventing them from selling it now. By the same token, somebody could go into the parish on July 5th and expend fireworks.
I'm not familiar with parish law, but
Or some other part of the state of Louisiana. So yes, I would like that changed. Now, if that's too,
Councilman Jenkins, may I speak to reference to that, please?
I tell you what, come up, we don't generally do this, but Ron, because you're such a patriotic citizen, we're gonna let you do this, yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, come on.
Ms. Glass, the reason for the July 5th is not necessarily to be able to purchase, but it's also to be able to make good things that are bad. Is sell, trade, barter, or exchange, as the way the law was proposed on the 5th. You can't, if a person brought something back after the 4th, by law, you have the way it's written, I can't do anything.
Allowing the returns on the 5th.
That's correct.
My question is, do you really want to allow the sale on the 5th?
I guess I just have to stick with my original intent was not to change that parameter in the ordinance.
And the reason why, may I speak for Oliver Jenkins quickly, is that not all my customers live inside the city. I have outside the city parish customers that come in and buy.
So
And
we can write
that
So,
was-
but-
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Because we wanna get this straight, because we're gonna take care of the deal. Go on.
Okay, so I guess that would be Amendment 3 then at this
We
point.
have to write it, we have to have it in
Okay,
writing.
so I'm going to propose that either we postpone this legislation another 2 weeks or postpone it till later in the session while she has time to do that.
I'll accept, whatever, the postpone it for 2 weeks, at the end of the agenda.
Okay, let's postpone to the end of the session.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Sam Jenkins, that we would postpone this to the, end of the session. All in favor, vote yes, opposed is no.
Well, I agree. I mean, I'm all for doing it. I just want to give everybody a chance to make sure they understand it. And if they don't understand it,
Okay.
then I don't make them like choosing that.
The next move that we're gonna do, Mr. Thompson, is we're gonna move our public hearing up to this particular point. I think I discussed that with, Ms. McCarthy, yes.
Can I say something
Yes.
before we?
Mhm.
Yes, I would like to have the record to reflect. There's been several remarks made, since the Grigsby and Associates situation have occurred. Remarks like, I'm an angry black woman. Remarks like, well, Rose is supporting the mayor because she's pushing this second bond sale in order to get Hersey D. Wilson. That's not so. Because if this council here recalls specifically, with the first bond sale, the monies have been made available for the streets in District A. So I won't need the second bond sale to proceed with streets, because this council, along with myself, agreed to move monies that had been allocated, that were left over from an unfinished project, and that had been, this council agreed to allocate those monies to the Bond Street projects in District A, which simply means the second bond sale does not have to proceed in order for the streets in District A, which are Hersey D. Wilson, Lewis Place, Carver, to go forth. Those of you that drive down Milam Street, you will notice that Lewis Place, Carver Street is under construction even as we speak. And from there, Hersey D. Wilson will go forth under construction as well, with the monies already being placed on the table, voted by this council, that was left over from an unfinished project in Mr. Oliver Jenkins' district. So the projects in District A, the street projects in District A, for the bond, recollect that we have other funds for streets. Those projects will be going forth. But again, I am not an angry black woman. I've also been advised by a very dear friend, Rose, don't fall on your own sword, Miss Bessie Smith, trying to save this guy. I'm not trying to save this guy. I'm not trying to side with the mayor. Based on all of the information that's been provided to me, not as a politician, not as an educator, Ms. Smith, not as a minister, but just as a common, everyday citizen. Based on the information, Mr. Bradford, that's been provided from the very beginning, the bread is not in the pudding. It hasn't been shown to me as a common, everyday citizen. It hasn't been shown to me that we overpaid Grigsby and Associates $50-some thousand. And of course, you know, it went from 900 to 600 to 52. And yes, I actually saw with my own eyes at a particular time in a committee meeting, this man has saved the city over $4,000 or $5,000 right after the external audit. I came back to one of my colleagues and I said, well, why aren't we considering binding arbitration? And my colleague sitting right up here with me now, the response was, I don't know about that. My concern is if the process, Mr. Bradford, is to consider binding arbitration, where you would bring in a third party that's not familiar with the city or Grigsby and Associates to determine if he's been overpaid the amount of money that we're saying that he's been overpaid, why not go with Plan A? Instead, we skipped Plan A and we went to Plan B. We're going to fire this guy, and we're also going to file a lawsuit against him. When, as I said, after participating in a community meeting in the Stoner Hill community less than 2 or 3 weeks ago, the council members were there, the mayor was there, Grigsby and Associates was there, and a lot of citizens like yourself was there. And based on the information that was provided to everyone assembled, again, the bread wasn't in the pudding. No one at the end of that meeting was able to show me the statistics where we overpaid Grigsby and Associates the amount of money of $50-some thousand. So, Ms. Betsy Smith, you remember I suggested to you at the end of that meeting, because right now, if you look at today's agenda, one of my colleagues is possibly looking at moving $6.2 million to satisfy only recreation projects, which in my district, 2 or 3 of those parks are included. I consider that as a pacifier. And I have to say at the same time, thank you, because sometimes, you know, babies enjoy pacifiers. But my concern is that the need in the city of Shreveport is just not parks and recreation. The need up to date, first of all, we consider health and safety. The need in the city of Shreveport right now, Ms. Smith, is sewage. Right now, a day like today when it rained, Liz Swain, she's not here. She's coming. She's done a presentation, big screen video. Raw sewage on a day like today is actually running out in our streets. And our elderly people, along with our children that love to play, because when I was small, I loved playing in the rain. They're actually walking in this raw sewage. Water is a problem. Water pipes is bursting everywhere. And some of you are having to repair them at your own residence. We have a problem with that. Also, streets along with recreation. And my spin today is, yes, the pacifier sounds and tastes real good, because yes, I have Mamie Hicks, A.C. Antoine, and there was another one that was named. Yes, that sounds and it might taste good, but it's not going to address the overall problem in the city of Shreveport today. So if we're going to move that amount of money to satisfy the citizens in Stoner Hill and stick a pacifier in the mouths of other districts with recreation projects, why can't we consider, because Grigsby and Associates, when I got on this council, we were in trouble financially. We didn't have a financial person. This man came aboard and he helped us to get out of financial trouble. And like I said, based on the last meeting that I attended in committee, I actually saw where this man had saved us $4 or $5 million. I say, so we're upset over what I would consider a tip for $52,000. So my thing is this. Based on the information that was provided to you all, Ms. Smith and Stoner Hill, with Grigsby giving his explanation, with me speaking, with Jeff speaking, with Sam Jenkins and the mayor speaking, nobody has yet shown me, and that's why I want the public hearing, because maybe the citizens of Shreveport can see it and I can't. But I want to actually see it. I want you to actually see. And I'm hoping today that you will be shown where, how, and when Grigsby and Associates was overpaid by the city. I haven't seen that. So that is, I'm not an angry black woman. I'm not going to fall by the sword. I'm not taking sides with the mayor. But yes, as a politician, looking at all sides of both sides of the coin, the bread is just not in the pudding. And I called for the public hearing so that you could come and we all collectively get an opportunity to receive a report from the mayor and his administration regarding this Grigsby and Associates situation. But just know I'm not pushing this to get Hersey D. Wilson and Lewis Carver Place. That is a done deal. Thank you so kindly.
Okay, thank you. Let me, and Councilwoman, we appreciate that, but let me make this clear. No hallelujahs from the people out in the audience. I just want to make that clear. I saw one gentleman that was beginning to feel happy about it, and hallelujah. This is not my daddy's church, so it's a certain action that we will have in here. Now, nobody else will get a chance to speak as long as Councilwoman McCullough did.
I'm sorry, Chairperson.
That's okay. That's okay. That's why I didn't say anything, because I love you so.
Love you too.
Each speaker will have an opportunity to speak 3 minutes. So if you have a tendency to be long-winded, unless it's just something that, we want to give you a little bit more time, we will. Mr. Thompson, at this time, I will open the public hearing up.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
in line with the public hearing, have a presentation from the administration that we'd like to make at this time, and then would ask that you proceed with the public comments. But
we will. I just opened the public hearing up, and I will give you an opportunity if the administration has some presentation that they would like to make, but I would hope that it would not run 30 minutes.
no, sir.
Because we have had presentations time and time again from the council and from the administration. I was hoping that this public hearing today would be for us to let the public come up and say what they want to say, and not the council dominate this, or not the administration dominate this. We want this to be strictly with the public being able to come up and voice their opinions. If you have some questions, we will, such as raw sewage running in your streets, or such as your streets, you will see an increase on your water bill that will help the city in order to take care of that. We've been having raw sewage running in the streets for the last 20 years. I mean, this isn't something that just started 2 weeks ago. But this is why we have the increase. This is why the Justice Department has mandated that we do something about this. So I'm going to yield and let the mayor come up. And Mr. Mayor, I hope it's not going to be 25 or 30 minutes, because if do, I might have to do that. And it's no disrespect, but this is about hearing from the public today. All right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think just for the record, I believe it is the protocol for all the public hearings that are held to, whether that's for annexation or for tax abatements or anything else of that nature, that it is customary for there to be a presentation from the administration. And Mr. Chair, council members, that's what this particular portion of today's public hearing will constitute. We will certainly attempt to make it as brief as possible, but we also think it's important that we end up having the opportunity to be able to share with people who are here in person, as well as those who are watching us via cable and those who are watching via Ustream, information that I heard recently as this morning. Many people express that they've not yet had a chance to be able to see, to hear, to have it exposed to them. And this is something that we have been talking about both here before this council and throughout the city. We've shared it with the various media, but unfortunately, much of this information has not had a chance to be able to be conveyed directly and specifically to the citizens. I want to start here with this particular image on the screen. Mr. Chairman, council members, and the people of Shreveport. You see here from April 2nd of 2011, the results of the 2011 bond proposition that was placed before the citizens of the city of Shreveport. Combined, those numbers come up to $175 million, the largest bond proposal ever in the history of this city. You see quite clearly that it is represented and detailed as being three propositions. Part of what is at conflict, and we'll kind of start this at the back and go towards the front. Part of what's at conflict in this situation is whether or not this is to be considered three separate propositions. That's one of the issues that's at conflict with regard to the now $53,000 that's still at in question. You will see here some information that we recently came across and directed to the city attorney's office that city council attorney Julie Glass had a chance to review. She still maintains her position, but we also have John Frazier who's reviewing as well, and we think this is information that the council needs to consider and that the public needs to consider as well. You have here correspondence from January 11, even before the actual bond proposition itself went before the voters. It was a communication that came from bond council staff that says they want, that being the State Bond Commission, three separate financial disclosure forms based on the amount of each of the three propositions. A clear indication from our perspective that this is three transactions. You see here, again, a statement from Deborah Beard, a staff of Bill Bowes, city's bond counsel. Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but all fees and costs should be based on each issuance according to amount in the proposition. If only one prop carries, then the appropriate fees and costs will have been approved. Since this will be three separate issuances, they want the financial disclosures to match up with each proposition amounts, indicating members that you had three separate propositions, three things to be voted on separately, any one of which could have failed or passed. Turns out, citizens of Shreveport showed confidence and passed all three. You see a response back that came from Grigsby & Associates staff that says, okay, we'll get right on it. First thing in the morning, we'll have those things to you in line with SBC directions. You see there a follow-up that indicates the information that's needed and required coming from Ms. Jessica Alpruza of the State Bond Commission, the State Treasurer's Office down in Baton Rouge. And then you see a correspondence that comes from Deborah Beard, assistant to Bill Bowes, that says, Jessica, please see the attached executed financial disclosure forms for propositions 1, 2, and 3 per number 1 below. Our telephone conversation early today, number 1, 2 should be eliminated by, should be submitted by close of business. Thank you, Deb. Again, a clear indication that these are three propositions as specifically requested by the State Bond Commission. Now, what you see here, members, to go back, and we'll come back to these documents in just a second. This is the detailed billing of the propositions that were submitted on the financial disclosure forms to the State Bond Commission. Now, we have this in packets of information that we will distribute and make available to each of you today once we move forward with the public hearing here. We also will obviously have copies available for the media as well. And it gives you here Mr. Chairman, members of the council, a breakdown. If you look at the top, total fees to Grigsby's and Associate submitted to and approved by the State Bond Commission for these three propositions. You see within Proposition 1, $110,000. You see within Proposition 2, $69,250. You see within Proposition 3, an approved charge of $75,580 for a total of $255,249. The actual amount billed to the city of Shreveport by Grigsby, as you can see here, $63,000 for Proposition 1, $48,000 for Proposition 2, $39,000 for Proposition 3, for a total of $151,000. Actually, $150,000+ less than what John Kennedy, his staff, council members, authorized and approved for these transactions to be, based on them being three transactions as detailed by the information that you have before you, that you will soon have before you, as you see on the screen, that came from the Bond Commission. Now, how did we end up in this situation, council members? We ended up in this situation because after passing the largest bond proposal ever in the history of the city of Shreveport, $175 million, still that $175 million bond proposal only included $21 million in undedicated street funding. Councils do what councils will do, and you all decided that that money should be divided 3 ways or 7 ways for $3 million per district. We understood very specifically that was not going to be enough money, Mr. Webb, to be able to address the $500 million worth of street needs across this city. We knew that there was at least $100+ million of high priority needs that had already been identified. And so we came forward with a proposition based upon a majority of this council's agreement to increase our franchise fees from 2% to 5%, put them in line with the franchise fees that are charged all throughout the SWPCO service region. Bossier already was at 5. We were helping to pay the franchise fees for Bossier and the other areas that are already at 5% and not receiving any of the benefit. In doing that, we resulted in an increase of $6 million in additional revenue for the city of Shreveport. Councilman Sam Jenkins was the lead author of that particular legislation. We also suggested that those dollars, agreement by the council, the 4 who voted for it, that those dollars should be dedicated to street improvements. We went one step further, recognizing that there was only $3 million per district available from the bond proposal, recognizing that the need was going to be greater, and that if we didn't come up with additional funds, we would end up with District A, District G, District F, District B, all of which are very high-need districts, geographically large, having needs that are much, much greater than the colleagues in Districts D and C, to some extent, in District E. And so we propose that we fix Shreveport streets now, that we take that additional revenue, and that we in turn leverage it as opposed to doing a pay-as-you-go. Pay-as-you-go would have taken that $6 million and given each council district an additional $800,000 per year. By leveraging it, we would have been able to borrow or bond an additional $100 million. That $100 million would have done streets all across the city of Shreveport. And instead of Councilwoman McCullough just simply talking about Hersey D. Wilson and Lewis and Carver Place and Councilman Jenkins talking about Carroll Street and some of the others, we would have been talking about the real big problems that really impact all of this city. Linwood and Jewella and Hollywood and Piermont and David Raines and Russell. Roads that end up serving and impacting all the city, and that you'll never get a chance to be able to do anything about as long as you take each pot of money that we have and simply split it up 7 different ways and not focus on the biggest and largest needs. And so we came forward with this effort. We enlisted support of the community. We went to various areas around the city. We even had council members who expressed support for it. But unfortunately, ultimately ended up being voted down. But now part of why it was in my estimation, voted down is that there was some, as you'll see here from an entry that was submitted to a local political blog that says you want to repair or build a street or highway, first fix the self-interest and abusive process. Now, for those folks who are willing and interested in reading, what you will find here is essentially an allegation that the real motivation was not to fix the streets, but was to come up with another transaction that would somehow result in Mr. Grigsby having a chance to do more business for the city of Shreveport. And by Mr. Grigsby doing business for the city of Shreveport, that somehow that would result in some benefit to me as the mayor. Now, the sad thing about that is that anybody who really has driven the streets of the city of Shreveport, you would know that there is a need for substantial street work to be done. But information like this, whether it directly or indirectly affected members of the council, the public, the media, created the impression that one, we didn't need to fix our streets, and that two, somehow, some way, that possibly there was something wrong going on. In line with that assumption, at the time, Council Chairman Oliver Jenkins directed the Internal Audit Office to conduct an audit of Mr. Grigsby's contract. That audit came back with no findings of anything unethical, illegal, or improper. Said that there was some management and oversight issues that needed to be addressed, and we set about doing that. Council was not satisfied with those findings, and in turn believed that it was appropriate to use its power of external investigation, and retained the Nooner firm out of Lafayette to do an external investigation, again, under the assumption that there was something illegal or wrong or under the table or underhanded going on. While we regretted both efforts, we welcomed the opportunity to be able to prove that we came here not to be served, but to serve. And so that investigation came up with some questionable expenditures. Given the opportunity, we sat and went through issue by issue, concern by concern, and ultimately resolved every one of them. Up to and including this council, through its Audit and Finance Committee, and then as a whole council, passing a resolution acknowledging that there was no basis to try and seek any sort of action based upon the findings of the Nooner report that cost the city of Shreveport not $75,000, but over $111,000. And then, without anything else to hang its hat on, went back to the opinion that was rendered by council staff that as opposed to 3 transactions, as you saw detailed in the emails and the propositions themselves, that the actual sale was 1 transaction, and that Mr. Grigsby was only due compensation for 1 transaction. As I explained to one of the council members earlier, what you end up having detailed from the State Bond Commission speaks for itself. But I'll offer this to you as just a good old country boy from the Cooper Road with deep roots in Dixie and Belcher. If you give me 3 calves to raise, and you tell me under the rules in which we operate that I'm going to be allowed to be able to be compensated for all of the feed for each calf, all of the veterinary services for each calf, all of the other care and associated costs for each calf, and ultimately 1, 2, or all 3 of those calves could survive and make it to the sale. We get to the sale day. We make it to the sale day. And we sell all of those calves in 1 lot. And because we sold all 3 calves in 1 lot, I go from being eligible to be compensated for 3 calves to 1. That's essentially what we have said to Mr. Grigsby. But now let me go back. In an effort to try and resolve this effort, we proposed on last year that we resolve this matter through arbitration. That there's an issue of whether or not this actually is owed. Mr. Grigsby has detailed, I think quite well, why it is not. We think that it's backed up by the information that you see provided in detail through the correspondence between bond counsel, Grigsby staff, and the State Bond Commission. But in an effort to resolve and to address, suggestion was made, let's resolve this via arbitration. There's no need for someone who has served the city well to be dismissed because of what should be an honest disagreement. There's no need for us to engage the services of attorneys to tie up valuable court time by taking this to court. We can proceed in a very civil and cost-effective fashion by engaging in binding arbitration. Suggestion was made that we establish an account, but then also accompanying that account was a resolution that was placed before this council in December of last year, and staff can quote me the resolution number and the dates and times of when those votes were taken. And so as you can see here from this document, which comes from Capital One, here in downtown Shreveport, you have here a wire transfer on 11/15/13. That is the 15th of November of last year. All right. You see here the amount to open the account by wire transfer, deposit to Grigsby & Associates, is $50,500. Now, this represents what should have been officially the escrow account with the additional $2,000 or $3,000 so that we end up with the full and accurate amount. But this was wired in just simply to open it and be able to express and prove upon consideration by this council of the resolution from December that in fact those dollars were there. That resolution said that once it's passed, then what we would be directed to do would be to place the city's name onto this account at Capital One Bank here in downtown Shreveport. Make sure that it has the proper and complete amount that we would agree upon an arbitrator, engage in that process, and go forward. These dollars remained in that account until you see here January 17 of 14, when after having received a demand letter and being told by John Frazier, not at my direction, but at the council's direction, which again could be an issue, but being directed that the council issued a demand letter and was proceeding forward with litigation, Mr. Grigsby withdrew $15,000 in preparation for what he assumed was going to be litigation. That lawsuit, in fact, was filed on Valentine's Day of this year. This particular account can very readily be reestablished for the purposes of being the escrow account that's needed to resolve this matter. But in order for that to happen, there needs to be a willingness from this council to allow us to be able to go forward in that fashion. Mr. Grigsby represents the team of professionals that we have enlisted since I've been mayor of this city to help us manage and deal with these issues and challenges. I would offer to you that based upon where we stand right now, we've acquitted ourselves reasonably well. But because there are folks who assume that the motivation is not to fix streets, but to somehow figure out how to put something in my pocket to enrich myself, then they ended up making me that. Council members, I've been doing this since November of 1990. I've done it with great pride, and I've done it with great humility. I respect the fact that as chairman of this council, Mr. Jenkins believed that there was something that needed to be investigated and reviewed. That's what you have a duty and an obligation to do. I respect the fact that upon completion of that process, you felt that there was more that still needed to be done. And you called for an external investigation. I respect that fact as well. Both of those processes have moved forward. Both of those processes have come with no finding of anything wrong, illegal, immoral, or unethical. In fact, as has been acknowledged by members of this council, the work that Mr. Grigsby has done has been not just good, it's been exemplary. When I became mayor of the city of Shreveport, we had over $620 million in debt. Today, after passing the largest bond proposal in the history of the city, we have just about $470 million in debt. When I became mayor of this city, our general obligation millages were almost 27.92 if I'm not mistaken, I believe. Today, those same millages, council members, are 22.05. Now, I'm not sure if many people expected that the Democrat from the Cooper Road would come down here, manage the city of Shreveport's finances in a sound, proper, and prudent fashion, at the same time cut taxes, save us money, and put us on a sound road to go forward. But that's what we've done. For doing that, I get accused of being a criminal. People that accuse me of being a criminal, at least in this particular case, are the folks at Shreveport Dog Park. Those folks on tomorrow will have the benefit of the Architect and Engineering Committee meeting to select the professionals that they want to recommend to me to engineer and design the city's dog park. That's a dog park that none of these people behind me voted for. That's a dog park that none of the thousands of people that you saw who voted on April 2nd of 2011 voted for. Those folks are still waiting for their projects. They're waiting for their streets, they're waiting for their parks, they're waiting for their water, they're waiting for their sewer. Tomorrow, the dog park folks will get their dog park. There's something wrong about that, council members. There's something wrong about it. I hope that you all will reconsider the opportunity of being able to resolve this matter through arbitration. I hope that you will see that Mr. Grigsby has been earnest in his efforts to put forth funding to try and resolve this matter. I hope you will see that based upon what was authorized by the State Bond Commission, that Mr. Grigsby chose not to charge even what he was authorized by John Kennedy and his staff. If there's ever a day when Cedric Glover can said to be more fiscally prudent than John Kennedy, a Republican and our state treasurer, then that ought to be a good day for the city of Shreveport. And those are things that we ought to reward and encourage and support, and things that we ought to allow to move forward. These processes have been held up for more than 2 years. There are projects right now under question that we should not be going out for a bond sale for. These are projects that we should be cutting the ribbon on, just like we did with the municipal auditorium, just like we've done with all of the other projects that were fully funded in the first bond proposition. But yet here we are, right now, another 6 or 7 months left in this council term and this administration, still here trying to resolve this issue. Mr. Chairman, with that, I'm going to wrap up my comments.
Please,
I would
because I
welcome
don't
the
want anybody
opportunity.
else to think they're gonna be able to take this much time, because you're not.
Well,
I want to be up front with you. Go ahead
Mr.
on,
Chairman,
man, please.
I want to speak frankly to you.
Please.
People have waited 3+ years for this administration and this council to take some action on these issues. I hope that you will not do them the disservice and show them the disrespect of not allowing them to come here today and express themselves to you as they earnestly have on their hearts and minds to do so.
Mr. Mayor, they've been waiting 7 years. It's been 7 years and nothing has been done. But I do want you to know that I'm gonna let them come and express themselves, but I'm not gonna let them take all day. If they wanna put in a letter or whatever, we got a lot of people here, Mr. Mayor, that wanna come in and speak, and this is how we hold our public hearings. All public hearings are important, whether it's small or little or whatever you might think. What might not be important to you might be important to Joe Blow.
Mr. Shine,
So,
I don't mind your arrogance and your insolence when it comes to me. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. These are folks who have taken time off from things that they could otherwise be doing. I would ask that you show them the courtesy and the consideration and the respect that they deserve as citizens of the city of Shreveport.
Mr. Mayor, I think I've always demonstrated that. I'm not as arrogant as you. If you wrap up, you and I
I'm through with this one, Mr. Shine.
Now, you and I are not gonna make this a debate between me and you back and forth. If you wrap up, please take your seat, and we're gonna get on with the public hearing. And I think the people out there waiting for the public hearing, you've taken 30 minutes.
I just want to be
How
clear,
much more
Mr. Shine,
time
as
do
they
you
come
need?
up, that they should not feel pressure from you to not fully express themselves as they feel that they should,
Mr. Mayor.
based upon the paradigm
Mr. Mayor.
that you're trying to set by the comments that you're making. With
Mr.
that,
Mayor,
Mr. Shine,
Mr. Mayor,
thank you
I'm
much,
an
and I will take
educated
my seat.
man,
And I look forward to the
anybody
dialogue
who
to
comes
come from
down
the
here, I
public.
don't put pressure on them. I'm running a meeting today, and when you run your meeting, you run it like you want to. So I'm not gonna let you come down here and tell me, or you put pressure on me on what I should do. I'm not gonna let you do that. I was doing this when you were in junior high school. I see Ronnie over there. Ronnie was one of my students. Ronnie, you turned out to be a good-looking man. I didn't hardly recognize you. And I see Mr. Johnson sitting there. That was in, my 7th grade. And I'm not gonna let you come down here and put no pressure on me. You telling me about putting pressure on somebody. That's why we bringing the meeting up. Ron, that's why we were not still group. I'm not gonna put any pressure on you. But you understand, I can't let you all run the meeting. This is what I'm here for. Okay, the public hearing is open. Ms. Bessie Smith, would you please come forward? And let me say this now. Unless we need to, you have 3 minutes. So please, we're not gonna let you talk as long as the mayor. We're not gonna let you get all this off of your chest. Ms. Smith, would you give them your name and your address
Yes.
and
Pull that microphone down to you there.
Thank
There you go.
where's Reverend Jackson? Reverend Jackson, you'll be next.
I am Bessie D. Smith, 1810 Vikings Drive. I want you to hear this. Time out. Time out for recess should be over. To everything there is a season and a purpose. The book of Proverbs says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and in all of your getting, get an understanding. You know I can't speak for the rest of you, but I'm fed up with this. And when I hear my name, Bessie Smith, called, I'm not like most people. I told you that the other day. If you call my name and you're not telling the truth, and you're lying on Bessie Smith, I'm going to pray about it, but I'm going to file a lawsuit against you. I want to let you know that too. Now, some things I even heard today that I'm not comprehending. I don't understand. Now, you've been at all of our meetings, Mayor, and I'm very disturbed because I heard one of the council ladies said that she's not, from my understanding, her street's going to get done. And I'm standing here saying back there, why the streets and parks in Stony Hill is not getting done. Now, let me tell you something. I go by documentation, and I've been asking for documentation. Now, the mayor and the financial advisor, Kevin Grisby, were able to correct those issues from the previous mayoral administration. We used Grisby's company in the passing of the series 2011 bond issues. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because this is what I've been gathering at the meetings. Mr. Grisby assists the city council instructing the passing of $175 million in June obligation bonds. He also played a role in refinancing the existing city debt. We was told at the Stony Hill meeting that the city was in bankruptcy. Now I'm down here to get some corrections because I have some questions and they need to be answered. Why is this $53,000 so important that we cannot retain him? I need some answers today. Has Kevin Grisby paid the $53,000 back? And if he paid it back correctly, why we can't go on with the projects? In July 2013, the council unanimously voted to accept that Grisby overcharged the city $53,000, and I read that according to documentation. The mayor told us that 2 years, the previous, and let me say this slowly, mayoral finance advisor earned $2.8 million, $2.8 million, while Grisby and Associate working for the mayor for 5 long years and a half. He only was paid $1.2 million working for the mayor. I hope I got that correctly. I have a few questions. Were any of you on the council with that previous mayor before Mayor Cedric Glover? I'd like for you to answer. Why have you not held meetings in other districts besides Stony Hill? I heard about one on the Cooper Road, but I not heard about any meetings in the Motown area, Cedar Grove area, Broadmoor area, Queensboro, because when you first came to Stony Hill, that was one thing I asked you to do. Go to all of the districts. Don't just single us out. I hope you comprehended what I'm saying. It appears someone is out of their lane. I don't know who, and I'm not accusing any of you, but I know some of you are out of your lane. And I am left dangling in the air. Can we get all of this done in 6 months? The answer is no. And you know you can get all of this done in 6 months. Remember, there's only 6 months left. This battle need to end so progress can start. And I'm including all of you all, because you are elected officials, and allow this administration to carry on the work that they have started for our future bond sale of $94.5 million. GOBS approved by the voters on April the 2nd, 2011. Shame on you, because it's now 2014 with only 6 months left. And I'm speaking for the citizens in Stony Hill. We've got nothing but plans presented to us. And you can say, I'm hoping that you will start on the projects. And this is Bessie Smith, and I'm proud of my name. And I leave you with this. One thing, I'm not going to say you're going under the table, because I don't want you to accuse me of going under the table, because if you do, Bessie Smith going to file a lawsuit on you. And I better end this thing.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Bessie, I'm sorry we gave Bessie 6 minutes, but Pastor Jackson, we're going to cut everybody else to 3. Bessie, thank you here.
Okay,
thank
you.
Pastor Jackson is next. And after that is Miss Irma Rogers in the house. Where's Ms. Norma Rogers? Okay, Ms. Rogers, you would be next, so why don't you just come on down and Pastor, give them.
Good afternoon, Theron Jackson, 6001 Foxbrook Circle, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71129. Thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that presentation. Thank you all for holding this public hearing. You know, it's hard to be, it's easy, let me say, to be emotional without the benefit of intellect. And that's something you see, unfortunately, often happening. It's not uncommon in this place, let me say. I will say to us that I think we don't have the luxury of free commentary without the responsibility of some thought, some research, some understanding. This has been much about numbers. This day's presentations has been much about numbers. Not numbers that children could understand, perhaps, but just numbers. And for me, I broke it down. I said, you know, 3 years ago, we voted on 9 figures. And then, according to the presentation, you spent 6 figures to find out about 5 figures, and it's still been 3 years. And we still don't have what we are supposed to have in our districts and our situations. The mayor, I think, chronicled well something I said last time. It's a great place to live if you're a dog. It's a difficult place to live if you got a good car and you drive down Hollywood every day, and you drive down some of the streets that many of us drive down every day, ducking and dodging potholes. I want to say to you, whether it's Calvin Grigsby, Ms. Smith, I was on that previous council that saw this city swap itself up to an unconscionable rate, and that could have left us hanging over a cliff of fiscal irresponsibility. Thank God that some of you came, and Mr. Mayor, you came and did what you did, because we owe the city an apology for what I think was a grave ineptitude to continue down that faulty financial pathway. So I can say that and represent that with that level of credibility. I'll say to you, it looks strange. I don't care what anybody's saying in the street. It looks strange when you see a presentation where the State Bond Commission said that a person could be authorized to charge $255,000. They charged $151,000, and we're still tripping. Seems to me real something. If you don't think that there's a dead cat on the line somewhere, and maybe you, because you have the benefit of more information, may know something that we, the citizens, do not know. What we'd like for you to do is to step from behind the thin veil of political secrecy, or whatever you may want to call it, to say to us, here is the reason why. Because to the average onlooker, it looks as if we saved $104,000 in fees, a firm could have charged us and did not. It seems to me that's +1 for that firm. If we saved this kind of money that the mayor was talking about, when you start talking about from being $620 million in debt to $470 million in debt, and then those of us who own homes and pay taxes to go from 27.82 millage to 22.0, he ought to be running on a Tea Party ticket for lowering taxes and being the kind of, whoever played a part in that, should be excited about that, because I saw the city go in a different direction from a fiscal and financial perspective.
Hold on just 1 minute. Pastor, we're going to give you 20 more seconds. We're not going to start just giving everybody just whatever I'm going to give it to them.
Let me just make one closing statement.
Please.
I think it's irresponsible to be able to stand behind these numbers justifiably and say, yes, we did it, and that's us. I'm suggesting to you that this ought not be about Calvin Grigsby. Why in the world are we in the city council chambers talking about one man in a city of 200,000 people who deserve better streets? This is about potholes and the kind of jobs this bond issue could create if there were contractors in this city who hire people to go to work. This is about potholes, infrastructure, and jobs. And either you're for those things or you're not, because $53,000 in Calvin Grigsby is not enough rationale to say no to the potholes, to say basically yes to the potholes, but to say no to the jobs that could possibly be created in this city. It's bigger than Calvin, it's bigger than Cedric, it's bigger than Joe, Mike, Oliver, Sam, Jeff, Ron, and Rose. It's bigger than that. And I'm asking you to take a perspective that puts you on a higher plane than just talking names and looking at people.
We'd have to do this with everybody.
Right, listen, thank you for your time and for the indulgence, for the extra time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms. Irma Rogers. And Ms. Rogers, please, if you got a statement that you want to make right at the heart, please do that. Don't wait until your 3 minutes run out. and then you do that, because we got a lot of people that want to come up and,
Yes,
and
sir.
speak, and I appreciate it.
Chairman Shine,
Thank you.
Mayor Glover, Mr. Sibley, City Councilman and City Councilwoman McCullough. I'm here to follow up on a slideshow presentation from February 25th, 2014, presented to you on behalf of MLK area. I will speak also for Mrs. Thelma Humphrey, who is here, in the interest of saving time.
Thank you.
We thank you for passing the resolution to send to DOTD David Rains Road and Russell Roads to be suggested to be minor arterials instead of collectors at this time. However, my board membership has asked me to address the issue of when are the other streets going to be fixed in our area. I have by example here and represent one of our neighbors, Mrs. Melvina Pugh, who is ill. She lives at 3220 Redstone in our area. She's a heart patient, unable to be here. She's having problems with the water from an adjacent ditch behind her home off Hillary Huckabee and Roy Roads, backing up into our home. This is not fair to Mrs. Pugh. This has been going on for some time and some years. She's having difficulty with insurance because they're saying it is a problem of the city, and it cannot be fixed by them until the problem is fixed. Her husband, who served in the military, to my understanding, was a Purple Heart recipient. He is now deceased, but I'm sure he would be ashamed of this issue that she is facing. So once again, I bring to you the streets and the drainage issues, this time a particular drainage issue in our area. If there's any connection with the bond issue, that you would expedite, if binding arbitration, which I've heard today, would expedite this process, we're asking you as our leaders of the city, as our sitting council, to take up this matter, expedite it, and alleviate these kinds of problems. I think I stated to you in February that we were annexed like 1978, over 35 years ago. But there have only been a couple of streets that have been paved in our area. David Rains Road and one part of Russell Road, some portion of Audrey Lane, not all of it. So these are the issues that my board is asking. What they're asking me to do is ask for a timeline in writing, something that would tell us, or something that I can take back and give to the people in our area that says, this will be done at this time, these funds have been allocated, or what actually has been allocated for our area, okay? Thank you for your time. 30 seconds left.
Thank you. I could come and, I hope my wife isn't looking to listen, but I could come and hug you for staying with the time. This is what we
You
have
had
to
30
do.
seconds left.
This is, that's all right. I mean, this is what it's all about.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Lynch. Where is Ms. Lynch here? Ms. Lynch, come forward and please do like Ms. Rogers. Please stick to the 3 minutes so I won't have to cut you off.
You my councilman, I can get an extra minute, right? Stephanie Lynch, 5037 Waters Place, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. Since I only have 3 minutes, we do not want a city that's divided. I think that is the main thing that I want to say today. We do not want a city that is divided socially, economically, racially, any of that. We want good streets. We want our streets fixed. We've been elected mayors in this city for 175 years, since 1839. In 1990, we elected the first female mayor. In 2006, we elected the first African-American mayor. You all know that when Mayor Glover was elected, rumors were rampant all over this city and this parish that the city finances were deliberately depleted before this city was turned over to, I'm gonna say the Negroes, but y'all know the other word that people were using.
Hold it, just, I mean,
I didn't,
please,
okay.
please do not, anybody else who comes up, please, do not use that word, please. Please, we're intelligent people, we're Christian people, and please, and I love you to death, but please, we don't,
Okay. I didn't use that word, but.
don't do like the
Okay.
speaker did, a couple of weeks ago, the financial advice. Let's don't get into using those kind of words.
Okay. You all know what was being said. and that the new black mayor would by default take the fall for the city finances, that whites would leave this city in droves, and that Shreveport would just become another Detroit. That was what was being said in 2006. Here we are in 2014, and guess what? That did not happen. This administration was able to pass the largest bond issue in the city's history to address the streets. When President Bush came here, I don't remember what year it was, Mayor Hightower was the mayor. He asked a question. He said, "Who is the mayor of this town?" And the mayor proudly stood there and he said, "You all need to get your streets fixed." And you know how long ago that was. We're finally at a point of addressing our streets and our drainage situation. And I'm not going to be satisfied with just a park, pacified with a park being repaired. You know, we don't need any more monkey bars. We need our streets fixed. And I don't want to feel like I'm in the Wild Wild West where if I say this, I'm siding with the mayor. If I say this, I'm siding with this person. First of all, I'm on the Lord's side. Secondly, I'm on the side of those kids in my neighborhood who have seen an entire new city built out in southeast Shreveport, and their neighborhoods still look the same. And we have been passing bond issues since I've been able to vote, and I'm 51, and I've been voting since I was 18.
You lost some seconds.
No,
We
no,
want-
hold it. No, look, I'm sorry. Didn't I just say it earlier?
Yes, but you
Didn't
you
Ms.
stopped
Roy
and
just
talked
stick
in the
to
middle
her?
of mine, and I stopped
But
talking
you
to Mr.
interrupted her,
Shine.
Councilman Shine. You interrupted her. She lost
Miss
time.
Lynn,
I watched the
I'm
clock.
sorry. Take your seat. Hold it. Now, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna let Rose McCullough run the city council. I'm the chairman.
Well, you interrupted her,
So I'm
Councilman
sorry.
Shine.
Craig B. Lee?
Oh, man.
Where's
Thank you,
Craig Lee?
Councilman Shine.
Thank you.
Craig, please keep
Commissioner.
your comments to 3 minutes. If you got some more that you want to say, come back down to another councilman.
And Councilman Shine, I want you to keep your tap dancing and jigabooism out today as well, because you take up an hour of time doing that.
No, I'm gonna look at.
No, I'm telling you.
You start now.
I'm telling
If not,
you.
I'm gonna have you removed.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you don't run this meeting. This is a citizens meeting.
No,
So you stop your
no.
Samboism.
No.
You take an hour of time doing that. Craig Lee, 1035 Eustis Street.
Do we have an officer? If he goes beyond his
You're on
3
the
minutes?
clock.
Yeah,
Craig.
and you do the same thing for
Craig,
you.
you're on the
Let's
clock.
arrest you.
On the
You're
clock, Craig.
Craig.
You're on the clock.
1035 Eustis
You're on the
Street.
clock.
A few weeks ago, I wish you would have me arrested. You will get arrested.
You're on the clock.
Yeah.
You're on the clock, Mr. Lee.
The reality of this situation, I want to know if it's not his credentials, if it's not his expertise, if it's not the fact that he saved the city over $150 million. If it's not those things, what is the issue? Brother Grigsby said it was race. So everybody, my good colleague John Settle said, oh, that's bad to say. Tell me, where did racism go in the city of Shreveport? I've been back here since 1994. I came back as a pharmaceutical sales rep, and I am a licensed municipal bond broker. I very seriously doubt if anybody on this council has my background or Mr. Grigsby's background. So the mayor has presented this information. He put the $50,000 into an account. So any sensible person would desire to do arbitration. So there has to be something else other than logic and intelligence, as my good Councilman Shine is trying to perpetrate like we're being intelligent. If we're being intelligent, if he saved the city a good $200 million, we're obviously not going to squabble over 50, but let me ask you something. Keith Hightower and his administration that put this city in this particular debacle, I don't see any of you all having filed a lawsuit against his administration where they've come up with $1,600 transaction on land, and then when it's swapped that for almost $100 million. So you would rather sue somebody over 50,000, but not over 100 million? That makes no sense. This is nothing but politics and race, as usual. And that's why the city of Shreveport has not moved forward. But you can move forward on dogs. You can give dogs rights, but you can't give legitimate people rights. The city of Shreveport and Dallas, at one point in time, the same population, and today the city of Shreveport still 200,000. Dallas a top 10 city. Yes, race continues to play a reality in this situation. And that ends my time. And make sure that we get the police when Joe does his Samboism to arrest him.
Mr. Marvin Muhammad, would you please come forward? And after Mr. Muhammad, Pastor Mays, will you be ready to come forward?
Marvin Muhammad, 1413 Clay. Well, I come today not in support of the current administration. I come today not in support of the city council. But what I do come today as a voice for the citizens of Shreveport. I come today as a voice for the voiceless. I come today as an advocate for the poor. I come today as an advocate for those who have been marginalized and disenfranchised from the growth and development in the city. I agree with City Councilwoman McCullen, and not just because I'm a younger country boy from the Cooper Road. I agree with her, and although I commend Councilman Jeff Everson for the willingness first to vote at the last council meeting for the resolution that was on the agenda, and I also commend him for the $6.2 million spending capital money to be moved around. I wouldn't call it a pacifier, but it's indeed a Band-Aid, because that $6.2 million is only a small percentage of not just SPAR, but a very small percentage of Proposition 2, of the three propositions, 15% and 37% accordingly. I too, along with City Councilwoman McCullen, I am ashamed that this Memorial Day weekend, when some of my college friends came home and we toured the old neighborhood, that they saw sewage issues. They saw a street that I, although I still call Plum Street, that has been named affectionately after former Cattle Commissioner Hersey D. Wilson, Hersey D. Wilson Drive, a street that I grew up on. I was ashamed that from Hill Street all the way back to the Garden, it was in total ruin. I was ashamed that the Cooper Road, despite being in the city now for decades, have still disproportionately not received their fair share. I don't agree with, as I spoke to some of the councilmen on this council, I didn't agree with how the $21 million was divided up equally between the 7 districts.
Marvin, I'm sorry, let me do my jigaboo act. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to cut you off. You're going to be like Ms. Rogers.
Well, Councilman Shine, I will do this. You know I'm a voice of reason. As you said last time, a person of compromise. And I do believe that this council, as I close in 30 seconds, I do believe that this council, if they believe that Grisby is a thief, if they believe that Grisby is a liar and a cheat, then they should, because I believe mathematically I have a better chance of exhorting you to do that than to get the mayor to get another financial advisor. So, and mathematically, I feel, although some would say that's bad math, I do feel like I have a better chance of getting you. So expose him if he's indeed a thief,
Marvin,
if he's indeed a liar,
Marvin, I
if he's
appreciate you should have
indeed,
said that.
I will.
Should have said that in the beginning. Pastor Mays, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you, Councilman Pastor Mays, 335 East Azale. As Pastor Jackson articulated very well, that what's happening here, as you council members know, no 6 or 7 people have the power to hold the city of Shreveport hostage.
I'm sorry, just 1 minute. Attorney
Clock.
John Settle, you'll be next.
Okay. To hold the city of Shreveport hostage. This is what I have a problem with. We have, and Cedric, to my good friend, Bessie Smith, Cedric Glover did go around the city. When Cedric is wrong, I have been on this podium saying when he's wrong. But as a pastor, as a spiritual leader, he has went throughout this city to Moortown and these other areas to present this case. This case just did not receive as much information, well, as much media coverage as the dog park. The dog park took precedent over this particular issue. We had our councilman, Jeff Everson, who is the councilman for District B. He came in, thank the Lord, all you all was invited, but thank you, Sam Jenkins, because you came. And you also articulated, there is nothing unethical or illegal that Mr. Grigsby done. If it is, show it. But you can't show it. And that's the problem that the citizens of this city have, is that there is no group of people that's going to stand and say, you citizens don't have a voice. If this man done saved the city of Shreveport all this money, then why not move forward with the rest of the bond proposal, the $97 million that is left? Why not finish the job that was started? Now, I played football for Huntington. And you never take the quarterback out of the game when you win in the fourth quarter. It just don't make sense. It's not logical to do. And I know you're all smart and you are professionals, but the bottom line is you work for the citizens of this city. You have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of this city and your districts. And for you to try to say we're going to hold up these good people out here, or we're going to shut them up, it's just wrong. It's morally wrong. And so if you all going to be on national TV now, and you all going to keep this foolishness up, then you are wrong. You better look for another council seat. Because wrong is wrong and right is right. When Mayor Glover was wrong, me and him had plenty of arguments right before this podium. In this particular case, from the proof and the documentation that has been shown, he is right. Thank you very much. Still got time.
Pastor Mays, I want to thank you. And Attorney Settle, I know you're not going to, please don't turn around and address anybody in the audience, please. Please.
My name's John E. Settle, Jr.
I'm sorry, Mr. Willie Bradford, you will be next.
My name's John E. Settle, Jr. I've resided in Shreveport since being transferred here with the Air Force in January of 1977. And even though my office in Bossier, I still live in Shreveport. I think it's unfortunate this whole debate has been framed into is the mayor right and that the council is holding up the money. I took the time to make a public records request and read a lengthy findings by a reputable law firm and CPA firms that cast considerable doubt into probably $500,000 worth of charges and fees made by Calvin Grigsby. I took the time to do that. And I have followed that the council has gone through a process to determine that they should pursue legal action. Now, for people to say that Grigsby saved money and therefore should continue to work, that's ridiculous. Grigsby was paid over $1 million. That was his job to save money. If the council and other people have found that he overcharged, then why should you still use that same vendor? And these people are saying that. I doubt seriously.
Wait, hold it just 1 minute. Pastor, I love you, but if you do it again, those 2 officers back there going to escort you out of here, and I don't want that to happen. All right, thank you.
But
I'm sorry, John.
I read the report, and I doubt seriously that many of these other people have. But the real issue is this. Mr. Grigsby was hired to do a job, and he did a job. He was well paid. An independent finding says he was overpaid. That is now in the courts. The real problem is that the mayor will not go and recommend another person to sell the bonds. That's the real problem, Mr. Mayor, that you could have moved on and not made this your piece de resistance of your mayorship, that you're going to, in the last 6 months, get into an impasse here. If you really wanted to move the city forward, when you realize there's an impasse, you could have gotten a new bond advisor. So I think this whole debate has been framed in a way to make these the bad guys, you the good guys, and Calvin Grigsby a saint. And I don't know if it's a saint or not, but any person that was paid $1.2 million that comes to my city to a public hearing and uses the N-word repeatedly and calls elected official Klansmen in your presence is not, in my opinion, a good employee of the city. And I'm disappointed as mayor that you allowed that to happen. We can have public debate without using those kind of words and calling those kind of names. That's detrimental to our city. And so I think that the council is being cast in the wrong light, and you can smirk as much as you want, but I think that the council should proceed as is. You need to get a new bond advisor. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Bradford.
You need a drink, John.
John, thank you for sticking with the 3 minutes, and I guess I'm doing my jigaboo act, and I've done as much in this community as anybody, black or white. Thank you. That's because you don't know no better.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Willie Bradford, 3026 Independence Avenue, Shreveport. I had a lot to say.
Go ahead on with it. Go ahead.
But it's difficult because this hearing has turned into a farce. Allegations, innuendos are being made that is unsustainable. Let's talk about what's right, Mr. Chairman. First of all, let me just say this. I've been coming to city council meetings since when some of you was teenagers, fighting for the interests of the citizens of this city. There was a time when the city council was a joy to come to, because you can leave here feeling good about your public servants doing what they can do to improve the quality of life in the city. We've had some doozies over the past, but I can say that we've had some double doozies over the last few years. Now, Mr. Chairman, I have never been a part of a public hearing regarding a financial advisor. I don't think we've ever had one. The reason we never had one is because the mayor, the administration, vets a competent person, get with the council, speaks with the council regarding this person, and engage that person in handling some of our business. The problem I have today is that the voters approved the largest bond proposal in the history of Shreveport 3 years ago, and yet 3 years later, most of that work have not been completed, and some of it have not even started. And the reason that we're here, and the reason that we keep hearing, is that because we don't have a financial advisor. Now, Mr. Chairman, the citizens of Shreveport hired 8 people to do a job. To do a job for us. We didn't hire no financial advisor. We didn't hire anybody in this chamber but 8 people. We had a mayor and 7 city council people to do a job to help make our quality of life better. 2.5 years ago, the citizens of Shreveport gave you some resources to help make our lives better. We passed the largest bond issue in this city's history to give you resources to help make our lives better. Now, when we passed that bond issue, I didn't see a footnote. Mr. Chairman, please allow me.
Yes, continue.
I did not see a footnote in that proposal that said that we're going to use Kevin Grisby as our financial advisor. I didn't see a footnote that said pass the bond issue, and there was a clause that says, oh, and by the way, we must use Kevin Grisby as our financial advisor. I didn't see that. That was not a part of the bond proposal, Mr. Chairman. So I want to know, everybody want to know something today. Let me tell you what I want to know. I want to know who gave Kevin Grisby the power to shut down and impede the progress of this city for 3 years. Where did he get that power from? We hired 8 people to make our lives better, to make improvements in this city. Where did this man get this power from? I believe it's unsettled. See, we missing the point here. Listen, if Kevin Grisby, I don't know Kevin Grisby, never met the man, never met him. Raw sewage, as Councilman McCullough say, is running down the streets of Shreveport, yet somebody have the power to impede us from making that better. Where did he get that power from? Who gave him that power? I'm going to say again, Mr. Chairman, that this administration was supposed to have vetted Mr. Grisby, in which they did, I'm sure, checked out his qualifications, his credibility, his reputability. The mayor recommended Mr. Grisby to this body, and to my understanding, this body approved to engage Mr. Grisby as your financial advisor. Is that correct? That's what I know. I heard that. I know that. Mr. Grisby done work for this city over the years. For whatever reasons that was instigated by Mr. Grisby, this body, this city council, voted to suspend the use of Mr. Grisby as your financial advisor. I didn't know the details of it. It wasn't my job to know the details of it. I sent a city council person down here to know details of it. So I'm going to trust that my city council people know the details of why you felt it was necessary to suspend Mr. Grisby's contract. I'm sure you know that. Now, I know that after this happened, after years, 2 years at least after this happened, that the mayor and Mr. Grisby felt compelled to contest your decision, your actions, and in that period, you engaged in some type of litigation. Now, I know that months and months of progress and projects has been idle. Now, Mr. Chairman, I got one more thing. I believe that your recommendation has been that we let Mr. Grisby stay idle and you move on with another financial advisor. Now, I'm just saying that that was a reasonable alternative to me. Because if you're wrong in your suspension of Mr. Grisby has legal standing to sue the city and get paid for work that he did not have to do. Now, I'm saying, so Mr. Grisby should not have had the power to suspend the work of this city. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I just find it suspicious that a campaign was started several weeks ago targeting African American communities with Mr. Grisby, the mayor, and some other elected officials to give the impression to black people that race was a part of the decision not to move forward. I find it totally disingenuous. When not one time was any vote that was taken on this council went down racial lines. Race has never played a part in the decisions of Mr. Grisby, yet there has been a conscientious effort to make that somewhat of an issue. Now I'm disappointed in this, and let me just say this, Mr. Chairman. In closing, I engaged a financial planner to help me with my finances several years ago. Okay? He's been a good guy. He has made me a lot of money. Okay? If I ever get an inkling that my financial planner violated my trust and embezzled or misappropriated any of my funds, Mr. Chairman, he would be gone in a minute. So it is with your situation. Now, I don't know what the evidence are, but there got to be evidence. But if you engaged a financial person to take care of the affairs of this city, and he violated this city, Mr. Chairman, you have no other choice but to maintain and sustain your position until such awareness or such more information or this issue is resolved. You owe it to the citizens of Shreveport. The citizens of Shreveport deserve that. We hire 8 people to take care of our affairs, Mr. Chairman. Unless the information that you got from the auditor, and I'm going to use a phrase that Groucho Marx used to use, unless the information that you have been looking at is erroneous. Groucho Marx once said, who are you going to believe? Me? I'm your lying eyes.
All right.
Who are you going to believe? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate
Thank you,
giving
Mr.
it.
Bradford. I believe Marvin, we got another request from you to speak, but it's not. This public hearing is over with at this particular point. That was all the speakers. Sammy, we have a request from you, but it's not in this public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, do you have one for Ronnie Gardner?
Ronnie, if I don't, come on up, Ronnie. Let me say this. Ronnie was one of the best students, one of the best athletes that we had back at Lanier when Lanier was just a junior high school, and then a high school. The kids off the Cooper Road used to have to go to Booker T. Ronnie, I'm so proud of you, and you're still big like you used to be. You know, you always, if I can use this expression, a big kid.
Thank you.
All right. It's so good to see you.
Same, sir. My name is Minister Ronnie Lee Gardner, 1948 Michaud Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, U.S. Army, retired. I am here, first of all, to meet and see the mayor and to this distinguished council. I want you all to work together. I am not going to take a full 2 minutes, but where I live, I need my streets fixed. If we're going to be the next great city of the South, I want you to start at home first. I am also a Cooper Road boy.
That's right.
And I have gone around the world. And I came back home to make a difference. I am a widower of 2 years. And for 2 years, our streets has not been fixed. Asphalted, yes. Plugged up, yes. But the streets are not the streets of the next best city of the South. I get angry when we don't work together. my instructor, when I was growing up, I would fight you for my instructor because they would fight you for me.
That's right.
And I am not going to stand here and hear people degrade this councilship and this mayor. I'm back home to work.
Thank you, Ronnie.
You have woken up the sleeping giant. And I want to see and expect things to happen. Fix Shreveport's roads now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Just before you go to your seat, Ronnie is right. Ronnie is Cooper Road through and through. Ronnie is Shreveport through and through. Ronnie is a Louisianan through and through. Ronnie is an American through and through. Ronnie was an excellent student when he was in school, and he was a tremendous athlete. We talk about guys playing football off of the Cooper Road. Guys was an athlete off the Cooper Road. Ronnie was one. Ronnie, it's so good to see you. God bless you.
Thanks.
I love you, and you know if there's anything that your old coach can do for you, you just give me a call. Because Ronnie, when I passed by, you used to hi, Coach. Ronnie, you look so well, I didn't even recognize you. God bless you and thank you here.
Thank you, sir.
All
My
right.
faith is in God and in this council and this mayorship.
Okay. This is
Thank you, sir.
Frederick Branch is I'm sorry, I might have missed Frederick Branch just before I close the. Okay. We're going to close this public hearing at this particular point, and I hope the council will bear with me one more time. Mr. Carter, Coach Carter, we've had you, would you let your kids please stand? I mean, so they can, you come on up, Coach.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know that.
And Mayor, as soon as I close this, as soon as we let Coach Carter speak, I tell you, but if there's anybody want to leave at this point, you can feel free, Coach. If you just hold it 1 second. And Ronnie, this is something you might want to do too. You might want to get to know Coach Carter because you're no athlete, and he's doing a tremendous job. You see all those youngsters back there? He's doing a tremendous job with them, and Coach, you might want to get Ronnie's address and phone number when you leave. You know, you got a lot of folks, and because Brother Johnson's sitting there too. He doesn't mind working with a lot of with youngsters. Okay. And this is what you have. You have some folks that will come down and do a lot of this, and you know, and they'll call us a bunch of names and all, and won't do anything. But you are doing. So will you tell us about your team and what you're here for?
Well, my name is Lamar Carter. I'm not, I guess, 3855 Meyer Street. That's in Shreveport. We've been doing the youth program for this will be our 8th year. Each year it's a traveling athletic track and field program, which we take the kids of Shreveport. We go outside and compete against the nation. You know, each year we go to a different location. We try to make it educational as we go by taking them different locations. A couple years ago we went to Baltimore, Maryland, and you know, we got a chance to go to the White House. Some kids had never been out of Shreveport. You know, I mean, you don't realize that until, you know, you do a program where you get a chance to travel. And so this year, you know, we had the program set up. We got everything going, been going about a month, and we got the word that we didn't have the money for lodging and travel. And, you know, we have all different groups of children on our team. This is just a portion. There's about 75 to 80 kids on our team. And they have to go through qualifying rounds of each competition, and you come up with a number for nationals. And so that's how we pick the best of the best. Last year we We had the fastest 100, 200 meter runner, 4x100 meter relay, all out of our little small town of Shreveport. You know, going against, I mean, everybody. It's a national competition. And so we just asking the council to help us keep our program afloat for this year. And we were told our budget got cut a certain amount. We had to raise. We raised that money, but then we came back with another cut that we got cut again. And so we're here today asking for some assistance.
Could you tell us how much?
It's for this year's program will be $27,000.
You've been cut 27?
Yes.
What was your total budget in the beginning?
32, and we have raised 6,600 ourselves.
You know, what was the budget of the total program?
The budget of the total program, like I said,
Before you ever got cut?
32.
Okay.
Yeah, 32, and they cut 27. They cut the travel and the lodging completely out.
Okay.
And we have raised $6,600 of that budget, and we still have some, to help stabilize, like the coaching, like me being out there, my assistant coaches to be out there, but that's it. It's no travel included. I mean, kids been training for a month, and like I said, they put the pamphlets out, they did everything, that the program was still going, but then 2 weeks before we have to leave, we have a competition, and 2 weeks that we travel. We just got the word that we can't travel.
Okay, so essentially you need the 20.
To go ahead and, like, they had all the buses.
27,000.
Yes, go ahead and hold the buses, hold our hotel. They had that plan, but then, like I said, it came back to us that it had been cut.
Let me say this, Council, before we say anything else.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Councilman Jeff Everson and Councilwoman Rose McCullough, Mr. Thompson, and I'm going to ask the other council members that the three of us would author a piece of legislation. Can I, Jeff, can I, Rose, can I?
That's fine.
And Mr. Thompson, you and Jackie, let's scrub the budget. Let's look at what we can do, because those young people back there, that's the future of Shreveport. Now, we can argue all day long over a financial advisor who don't even live here, who's not giving anything back, and people can come down and I've given my life on this council and call me a jigaboo, and because anybody who's been watching the council over the last 30 years know what Joe Shine is all about. So, I don't even have to defend myself. To have been elected as long as I've been elected, that ought to tell you something. And Ronnie and Brother Johnson back there tell you how I was as a teacher. So I don't have to defend myself. Am I perfect? No. Do I make mistakes? Yes. Have I made some mistakes? Yes. Will I make some more? Probably so. Yes. But did I go to school and educate myself? Yes. Have I always worked? Yes. Have I been concerned about people? Yes. So I don't have to defend myself. But let's at least take care of those young people back there. I'm asking these two council members along with me. Matter of fact, I'd like to ask the whole council to sign on to author a piece of legislation where we can find some money for those young kids back there, because this is something that they look forward to. And this is our future. What we just got through arguing over Calvin Grigsby is not our future. Those young people back there are our future. And that's who we need to take care of. Coach, my heart goes out to you.
Thank you.
It's a hard job nowadays. People don't know how hard it is.
But it's enjoyable.
That's exactly right, working with young. But it's very rewarding.
Yes.
Because when I can look around and see Ronnie back there, Ronnie, I feel good. I want you to know that. Money can't pay for that. So I'm going to ask this council and Mr. Thompson, I'm going to ask you to direct Jackie to look to see where we can find some monies in order to make sure is Shelley in? She out?
She's in the back. I was
Okay,
just
well,
with her.
well, Mr. Sibley, you the boss man over there. And,
No, we're aware, and we've been talking to Lamarck, and he's been working with the department, and the issue is trying to come up with the dollars in order to, allow those kids to travel. But,
well, Mr. Thompson is gonna work with you all, and, cause we don't spend the money, we just kinda have the purse strings, but if we have to give up something, Mr. Sibley, we will be willing to do it. But let's at least, like with the summer work program, how we found some money for that, and so let's at least, Coach, let me say this, and I want the youngsters to hear this. Can y'all hear me in the back, young people? We're gonna make sure that y'all have your program.
Thank you.
If I have to get out and knock on some doors of some business people, if I have to go to some banks, if I have to go to Shreveport, if I have to go to Willis Knight, and if I have to go to other places, and Ron said he'll donate a little something in, and I'm not too proud to beg. I'll knock on some doors, and we're gonna make sure that you all have what you need, and maybe a few dollars over to buy you some popsicles after practice.
Thank you.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just a note, and that may be something that would be very beneficial, because any movement, as you know, would take a budget amendment, which will take at least a couple of council meetings, and I think they're up against the clock in terms of travel time. So
how much time do y'all have?
Well, yeah, we have
How much time?
well, it's about one and a half, 2 weeks.
About 1.5, 2 weeks. Let me say this. Jeff and Oliver will help me. What we might have to do, we might have to start looking at raising some money right now. What you might need to do is give Arthur, maybe how much you need, maybe for the first 2-3 weeks, and then we can, Can you
I can get that to you. Yeah.
Can you get that back to us?
Yeah.
And like I say, I got an old raggedy truck, but I'll get with Oliver. Oliver has a new, Oliver has a new car. And I'll get with him and Jeff.
Yeah, I thought Joe had a pretty nice car.
Yeah, they've been looking at the wrong thing.
Car on the scale says you, Joe.
No, y'all been looking at the wrong thing. Y'all haven't. They be seeing me riding with somebody else. But give us a number of what you need,
Yes, sir.
and we'll see if we can't raise you that, because we're not gonna let those kids go without that.
Okay, but thank you.
Okay, Coach, thank you here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming down. And council, you all have been so great today. Mr. Thompson, you might have to help me a little bit. We're gonna move back into the regular agenda, and Mr. Mayor, I believe the regular agenda, and Mr. Mayor, you've been so patient. We've been so patient. So, we're gonna move back. Any awards and recognitions?
Thank you, Mr. Shine. We will combine all of the communications, both.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. Let me, and Rose, don't mind me stopping the mayor. I'd really like to take care of Ron them if we can at this point, if we ready.
We're ready.
And Ron, we appreciate y'all coming down. What? Yeah, we appreciate y'all coming down. Where's Ron? Is he?
He's trying to think about maybe supporting their effort.
Okay. I really don't want to stop him from doing that, but I do want to take care of you all at this particular point. Tell him if he'll come back in right quick. And Mr. Mayor, while he's coming back in,
There's some one there we got a pass.
I think the chairman was talking.
while we waiting on Ron to come back in, would you, if you have any recognitions?
I
you'd
see
like to
Mr.
make?
Artis Cesario here, Mr. Chairman. I know he was here early. I don't know if he had urgent business since it's raining outside, and he may have had to go ensure that they moved some vehicles over there that were close to the Ockley ditch. I would extend to him any of my personal communications time at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, here's Ron.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna take care of you all right quick before we, and then we'll let the other gentleman come up. We're gonna, okay, Oliver, you ready?
Okay, back to ordinance number 36.
Right.
Okay. Well, to start with, I'd like to make a motion for Amendment 3, because from the beginning, it was never my proposal to change the sale date. And I appreciate you
correct.
bringing that to you and I talked several times on this, and I'm glad you brought that forward. So that was never my intention, and at a minimum, before we get on the other amendments, I'd like to at least make a motion for that.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman.
Question, if I may.
Yes.
If we approve this amendment and then approve it as amended, the only thing we're really changing from the original ordinance is the extra day of firing the fireworks?
Okay, I think what your question is, on this particular amendment, we're just authorizing the extra day of sale,
Which is July 5th.
which is July 5th.
And what about the firing?
Okay, so the firing are on amendments 1 and 2, or the original piece of legislation. So the original piece of legislation, and feel free to chime in if I misrepresent this, but the original piece of legislation was to limit it to the 31st of December and January 1st, firing of fireworks, and July 4th. That was the original piece of legislation proposed. The second amendment, or the first amendment, Councilman Sam Jenkins offered to extend, besides just the 4th of July, but to extend from the 24th
24, Christmas Eve.
through the 1st of January. Once again, we're not talking about sales, just when you can fire them off. It's only about, the sale dates stay the same in all the amendments.
24th to what? 24th of Christmas
First.
Eve
December 30th.
Yeah, that week between Christmas
to
Eve
December what, 30th?
30th
December,
to
January
January
1st.
January 1st.
It's a
Okay.
week between Christmas Eve up to the morning.
The reason I ask that is I know they need an answer right away, because it has a lot to do with who they hire, when they hire them, how many they hire, da. So, I mean, are you happy with, does this affect, if you're not happy with that?
My primary concern, Mr. Webb, is just shooting 4th of July day to 10 o'clock at night. That is as I understand the ordinance is written. And I gave evidence to all of you that 10 o'clock at night on July the 4th, some people are still standing in line at some of our locations, and then they can't go and shoot. So that was one of my concerns, is the July 4th day. Also, in the July season, there's a lot of churches and things that have patriotic services for their youth and everything on days other than the 4th. Because if the 4th falls on like a Wednesday, most churches have it on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, for the youth and for the people and for the families. So just shooting on the 4th was one of our concerns. And I also want to go back to Mr. Oliver Jenkins. He said I was trying to shave some days off the front. That's not what really I believe my councilman said. My councilman said if they sell 100 days, they should be able to shoot those 100 days. He wanted that to be simplistic, so it kept down confusion with the vendors, customers, the shooters, the law enforcement people. And we all know who the author of confusion is.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. So we don't want people confused when they come to buy fireworks and we tell them, oh, you can't shoot them, but you can buy them.
Let me ask this.
Yes,
then.
sir.
They gonna
Let me,
shoot
let me, let me, let me ask this.
Mr. A will shoot them.
Let me ask this.
Thank you.
Councilman Jenkins,
Yeah.
is it any way that two of y'all could get together and talk face to face to, let me say, the two Jenkins, and make sure we reach common ground?
There is definitely a possibility. We had a very, very good conversation, and it was very informative on both of our parts. And let me tell you, I do understand he's trying to represent some people in his district. I understand that. But it is in some ways similar that what we've been talking about in the hearing, that one group controls the whole city. And I would like to go ahead and propose the vote, if I win or lose, because I'm going to stand on the plan that my councilman has suggested, even though it's not here. Let's vote on ordinance 36.
Let me
Yes, sir.
ask this to our city attorney. Is there any way we can craft this ordinance, and I hope both our city attorneys are listening, is there any way that we can craft this piece of legislation where we can take care of both ends? You know, where maybe we could say or maybe we might not be able to do this, in some locale, such and such rules will go, and then in another locale.
No, Mr. Shine, any public safety type ordinance like this should be throughout the city.
Citywide.
Correct.
Okay.
I think, and she's correct, in the state law, of which I've been a part of, when it comes to that bit of legislation, it's hard to secede from the union. It's kind of hard to make a drive through just one particular area, no zone. Okay.
I just want to know, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ms. Hawthorne, I certainly appreciate you referencing our conversation. There is not an amendment that I proposed on our agenda today to try to sync up sale dates with shoot dates for two reasons. Maybe more than that, but I don't think it has the support of the council at this time. And the second thing is, as long as we continue to be in the situation where there's one set of rules for the parish and one set of rules for the city, and it is so convenient, as in my case, I can literally walk to a parish fireworks stand, and I know how I was as a young boy, and I know how my son was, that if I have fireworks sitting in a bag in that garage, eventually I'm going to beat somebody down till I can light them, and I don't care if it's July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th.
Yes, sir.
So I think if we put something in place, if we decide what we want to put in place, whether we do it today or we do it in 2 weeks, because you guys need to be able to move forward with July 4th sales. If we need to come back and tweak it, if we need to look at something down the road, we can. But that's why I don't have an amendment out there to try to sync up sale dates and use dates. In a perfect world, that'd be great, but we're just not there yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I probably used the wrong terminology. It was your suggestion, not an amendment or a plan, but it was your suggestion that it would be great if they sell them, man, I can shoot them this day. If they can't buy them, they understand that they shouldn't shoot them. So that was what I was actually getting at, and I believe that's what you actually suggested, and I agree with that. We had two Caddo commissioners here today. I believe if we could possibly reach some kind of other agreement besides just shooting on as what's proposed, I can get that Caddo commissioners, I believe, to join together with us.
I appreciate your optimism, because that'd be excellent. I mean, I'd be all for that, and I mean,
it's got to start somewhere.
Of course, as you know, we've both reached out to them, but maybe from citizen input, that's more likely to move that needle.
Yeah, from business input, it also helps that, because I have a location or two outside the city, okay? So, and it is to their best interest too. They want to keep the jobs and the sales tax and the revenue coming in for their part also.
And it is interesting to note that we've had some exchanges with some business owners that sell fireworks that actually are fairly accommodating to this proposal because they're more concerned about losing it altogether.
Understand?
And so, from their perspective, I'll just say the discussion that I've had was, I would rather be able to sell to people in the city and the parish for this extended period of time and let them self-regulate where they're expending them than for you to curb my sales dates and how I plan to manage my business. So that is, I mean, I'd say my proposal is perfect. I don't pretend that. I just want to say that the intent has always been not to manage the sale dates, but I don't get complaints about sale dates. I get a volume about when they go off. I think your point on the 4th of July, that is the way the ordinance is written today. We're not changing the day of, you're kind of come to us with the proposal to extend the hours on the 4th of July. I think we should have really taken that up months ago rather than right now, because I think that's kind of getting confused in the issue.
Yeah, we know what confusion is, we do.
So,
Could I suggest this?
Yes, sir.
Could I suggest maybe one more postponement, and then at the next council meeting, we're gonna go with it? I mean, whatever's proposed. And would that give the two of you all more time to synchronize your thinking? If the council think that they're ready to go now,
That's up to the council.
I'm a man of compromise.
Yes,
so
you are.
now, compromise doesn't mean that I'm
long
gonna go all
you
your
working on
way.
this?
Yeah, you know, compromise doesn't mean that I'm gonna give it to you 100%.
well, I mean, it started in January
Right.
after New Year's in public safety.
Right.
bid. So we haven't just really just kind of uncracked.
Right.
I will tell you though, and I'm not saying I want to change things significantly, but you know, he's been very outspoken about this, and that's good because you're the champion for that. It is surprising how little other vendors we have had here represented.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've noticed that when he listed his vendors, the vendors that he listed, and I don't know about this individual, they were not in the city of, they were not selling in the city of Shreveport, they were selling in the parish. And I think that's viable. I don't want to take away from revenue from the parish, but obviously it doesn't generate, you know, tax revenue for the city of Shreveport. And nor does this an attempt to curb that. I mean, I just frankly think that this is for what the group that I represent has requested, and I will tell you that having them come down here probably wouldn't really expedite our process here, I can assure you. You know, they would like some accommodation to reduce the days. I mean, they'd like to get rid of them altogether. I told them that I don't think that's appropriate. I think we can find some middle ground on managing the days when people can fire off fireworks. And I'd like to give that a try. Sam pointed
July
out.
5, you won't be able to fire.
No,
That's correct. No, she said July 5.
Oh, on any of the proposals today, on any of the amendments, July 5th is a non-fired, as it is.
But you can buy.
You can buy it.
Or you can,
That's what just don't make sense to me.
Well, but that's because that's the state. I mean, that's those
If the
dates
state
right
allow
are in
you to
line
buy 'em,
with
then why
those are
can't
the,
you
we've
fire?
adopted state laws for sale. Isn't that correct?
That's
Those are
correct.
the
You're
exact
right.
state laws, and we've just
and
historically had the state laws.
that's correct.
Then you ought to be able to fire them. If you can buy them that day, you ought to be able to fire them that day.
Well, do you think somebody should be able to fire them
So
on the
you
20th?
buy them on the 5th and save them till
I
December?
mean, because the argument really is, should you be able to fire them on the 26th of June?
Yeah.
Oliver.
If you can buy them that day, yeah.
Okay.
That just, that,
Well,
the argument is that it just holds down confusion. It holds down for everybody, especially somebody calls up and says, they're shooting fireworks. Well, they can. But if you call up and say, shooting fireworks, where are they at? It's 911, and they're only supposed to do that on the 4th, and you're going to go down at the end of the street with the police, and there's 27 rednecks in a pickup truck.
Well, the buying
can't
days
shoot 'em?
and the selling days ought to all be the same. The buying and the firing, all should be the same.
Okay.
Chairman?
If all the amendments fail.
I think it's dinner time. My folks back here are hungry. Y'all are welcome to come. I'll buy you lunch.
I'll be here a while.
Yes, sir.
That's why I was trying to.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Because now, in District A, I know when my people buy firecrackers, and even my own children, they want to shoot firecrackers. But based on the amendment, the original, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, I'm a scatterbrain. I'm really frustrated here, and I know you guys know that. So with the original piece of legislation that's already on the books, why can't it just remain like it is? Why can't we just let everything stay like it is? Let them continue to go by them, let them continue to shoot
If
them.
all these amendments fail.
They all fail.
All the amendments fail, they go back.
So let's
If
vote
the
down
ordinance
the
and all the
amendment.
amendments fail,
Let's
then
go
we're
ahead
back to
and
where
vote
we are.
down the amendment.
Let's vote down the amendments and vote down the ordinance.
And
Thank
the-
you,
and
Ms.
the
And
original-
the ordinance,
And
so
the
no,
ordinance
no,
36.
no.
No.
And the original would be July 4th till 10 o'clock, December 31st, January 1st.
No, but I think what he's saying, of course, in his interest, he'd like to keep it status quo.
Yeah.
That's correct. Just follow the state laws so that enforcement, both the sheriffs and deputies and your city police and your fire department, they readily know now.
Just go and vote no
Okay.
now and see what they.
Now, quickly, I'm hungry, and I know y'all are too. Come on. I want to thank every one of you. Every one of you has called me back. Every one of you, excuse me, Mr. McCullough, you tried to call me. I was in the doctor's office with my wife.
Okay.
I'm sorry. The next time you called me, you purse dialed me, and thank you. I listened in just a little bit. It was a wonderful Sunday school lesson. I thank you. I'm sorry, I hung up. I should have hung on and got some more.
Okay.
Being a preacher's kid, we need all we can get.
We
So,
do return phone calls.
come on. So, I'm for win, lose, or draw. Mr. Jenkins. If y'all want to vote now.
Let's vote.
Well, I guess at this point, since apparently there's a lot of confusion up here about what we're voting on, no, it doesn't sound like many of the councilmen, sounds like a couple of us, and maybe fairly familiar with this, but there's some, I think we should postpone it 2 more weeks, if that's okay with
We ought to
you.
just get past the 4th of July, and then we got till the rest of the year to get it straightened out.
Well, I know.
That's it. But you know what? That maybe there's that option. So, but then when I get all those phone complaints, they can all come on down here and they wear their shirts and do the same deal. And and that's fair. And that's fair. You're right. That is.
That's
But if you
I'll make a motion that we postpone it till after the 4th of July.
I would like to
vote
at
on
least postpone
Okay,
it.
it's been moved by
Second.
Councilman Webb, and second by Councilwoman McCullough that
After
we will
4th of July?
postpone this until after the 4th of July, and then we'll get back at it again. Ron,
Yeah.
I appreciate you and your people
Okay.
for coming down,
Well, we ain't
and,
voted yet, but-
Okay.
I don't know whether this was a good lesson in democracy or not.
It was.
But this is what it's all about.
Thank you so
And
much.
anytime you're elected to a position, folks gonna talk about you. I've been down here almost 30 years and don't think people have not talked about me. And they talked about Jesus, didn't they? Not only did they talk about Jesus,
They
but
hung
they
him
put him on
up.
the cross. That's
Yes, sir.
exactly
Thank
right.
you.
So when they talk about me, I feel good, because then I know they're thinking about me. If they don't say anything about me, then, that's when I
They don't-
worry. When
they don't
stop
care.
thinking about me. All right, we got a motion on the floor, and I'm sorry for doing this. It's been moved and second that we will postpone this until after July 4th, and then, Ron, we'll get back at it again.
We're going fishing in between that time. Come on.
Look out
White
now.
purse,
All right.
some white purse.
Okay, the motion passes. We will postpone this until after July 4th, and appreciate you all coming down. All right.
Save those t-shirts, though. Save those t-shirts.
We will move.
To have more of them. Thank you.
We will move back into the regular agenda. Mr. Mayor, I believe you had somebody that you wanted to recognize and to come up.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, I knew that Mr. Cesario had come down early. I believe he had some desire and intentions of making some comments, and since he has returned, I wanted to extend the courtesy of my communications time to him.
That desire.
Thank you, Ms. McCullough, for bringing that up about the
Give us
bond.
your name
Oh, I'm
and
sorry, my name-
address first.
R.D. Cesario. I'm sorry, I've done this so many times.
That's okay.
I should have known by now. R.D. Cesario, 3730 Fairfield. I thank you, Ms. McCullough, for bringing up the issue about possibly binding arbitration. After last week, you're right, seeing government is like watching sausage being made. It's not real pretty at times. After what happened last time in the council, I told the mayor, I said, you know, at times like this, I always go to prayer, you know, and possibly the council could get a contingent of religious people and to please everyone, maybe some pagans even, just to come down here in a non-binding way to talk about this, because Ken Kraft, I think, said it very succinctly, that a lot of projects are not being completed, a lot of work is not being done, and it's too bad. You know, I'm here just for the water issue, but coming down for the Ockley Ditch, but coming down and seeing the process right now, we're better than this. We're at a stalemate right now. And I know you guys are very principled, because, like, for example, Oliver wouldn't vote for the arbitration situation, and his mother is subjected to the flooding that could actually kill her. We're not talking about flooding, we're talking about rising water. Yeah, I've been meeting with the governor's office this week, talked to Mr. North, and we asked to get a copy of the environmental impact, and no one can get it. And even from the governor's office, for some reason, that interstate was built with no environmental impact statement. So again, we just asked you to go back. Please, we beg of you to vote, to get the bond issues that the people voted on, get these things approved, get them in the works, get past your differences. I know you're very principled, you're taking the high road. You know, I think he's been exonerated, but again, and if anything, if you think he's feathering his cap, you think a guy that would be feathering his cap would wear a shirt like that to a meeting like this?
Mr. Serio, let me say this. I don't know anyone on this council, so we can put this to rest. I don't know anyone on this council, and council member, if I'm wrong, I don't know anyone on this council that would say that the mayor is feathering his nest. So I wish you would take another stab at it another way. I don't think Councilman Jenkins,
I think that Mr. Stonecipher and his indication that he was alluding to was that, and people were getting behind that the mayor and some of the council members.
But Mr. Stonecipher is not sitting up here. Say that to Mr. Stonecipher. Call him on the phone. If you need his number, I'll get it to you.
If that was in your doubt that the mayor was standing behind Grigsby's, again, I don't know all the nuances. You guys know all those. I'm just trying to get a bunch of old ladies not to drown. Trust me, once I get this done, I'm going to say goodbye to this town.
Look, I agree with you, but please don't allude to any of us
Okay, Mr. Shine,
saying anything negative about the mayor.
All I said is this last week, the way, and I saw it on television, the way that you guys were demonstrating your non-communication. Thank God someone is coming along to try to bring you together. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's better. But please, especially me, and I'll speak for Mike. Please don't say Mike and I have said anything derogatory or negative about what's happening between Grigsby and the mayor. Now, and I'm not going to let you stand there and make me a part of that. Anything else you say, I appreciate you coming out here because you want to get some old ladies from drowning. That you can say that all day, but please don't include us in that.
Okay, well, I know you've always taken the higher ground, sir, so I'll give you that. And with all due respect, I'll rephrase that.
Thank you.
What I would just say is that the city, and like Ken Kraft said last week, there's a lot of people watching this, and we're better than this, to be at a stalemate, that nothing gets done. I mean, come on, guys. Let's get this thing. The people voted all over the city to get these bond issues approved. They work really hard. Do your best. Come together. If you can't come together here, get the religious people in here in a non-binding way to listen to them. Washington, D.C. did it. Marion Barry did it. I mean, so thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Hope I never have to see you ever again.
No, I mean, now, this is, you're welcome to come down at any time. Well, that, if you don't, that's good. We're gonna live, and
I don't like to see sausage
made. Right, I hope so, but I've been around long enough to know that, you know, even in the church, sausage is made. So, appreciate it. Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, you got any more you want to recognize?
I would just simply say to Mr. Cesario and all the other folks who came down today and didn't unfortunately get the Willie Bradford treatment. I think it's unfortunate. You deserve better. The city deserves better, and I thank you for coming down today and sharing what's on your heart, what's on your mind, and what you believe we ought to be doing as the folks that you've sent here and given the privilege of running and leading the city of Shreveport. So thank you for your time. I hope you will continue to stay engaged and know that we will continue to push to move the city forward to ultimately do what needs to be done. Thank you, Mr. Serio.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, anybody else?
How about council? Can I?
Sure, Ron.
For some communication.
Please.
Mr. Harris, if you'd come up, I have a question to ask you. I placed on the agenda about a month ago the removal of a four-way stop sign and change it back to a two-way stop sign. The administration was against the four-way stop sign to begin with, and now I'm trying to get it converted back to a two-way stop at the corner of Danfield Court, Helmsdale Court, and which are two cul-de-sacs, and Stonehaven. And I understand that y'all are reviewing it, and I want to know when y'all going to be through reviewing it, so you can bring it back to.
Okay, I can check with our staff on that, but
okay.
I didn't know it had been changed back and forth. If I had known that, then we may have to take a different look at it.
It went from a two-way to a four-way.
Right. It went from a two-way to a four, and now you want to go back to it.
And now I'm trying to convert it back to a two-way.
Well, let me take a look at it from that perspective.
Okay, because I'd like to get it back on the agenda, so.
Yeah, we thought it was just a request to change of from a two-way to a four-way.
No, it's from a four to a two.
Okay, well.
Back to a two. Which is what it originally was.
We thought it was an initial request to do that.
Okay.
Because normally when we get an initial request to do.
Well, I hadn't heard anything from anybody, so as to
right,
where they're at, if they're
I sent an email back to.
How long did it take to study it?
We responded, I understand.
Right.
We sent an email back indicating we had to
Okay.
review it. But understanding now that it wasn't an original request, in other words,
Right.
you were just trying to turn it back to what it was
Turn
before.
it back to what it originally was.
So that probably shouldn't be a problem. Let me
Okay.
check with our staff then.
All right, let me know something.
All right, good
Thank
enough.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have any more comments from council members? If not, we'll move back into, okay, Councilman Jenkins. Well,
I just want to, actually, I'll wait to committee of the whole.
thank you.
Forgot we got so out of order today, I have trouble kind of figuring out where
Mr.
we're at.
Thompson, you said he's
I
about
thought Mr.
saving
Harris
us some
might go
money.
home before we got down to
Yeah.
the end.
Oh, thank you, you're about saving us some money. Okay, Mr. Thompson, let's move down and Mr. Sibley, no persons to be confirmed, right?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
I don't want to, consent agenda, Mr. Thompson. Let's see if we can get that, please.
Mr. Shine, there are several items that can be considered to be added to the agenda.
I'm sorry, did I miss? Mr. Thompson, please.
One is 95A. 95, you'll see two things on your e-agenda with A's beside them. That means that the original resolution or ordinance will be removed, or there will be a motion or suggestion that it should be removed. and the A will replace it, and it's because of technical issues with both of those. 95A is a resolution authorizing the modification of the terms of the home loan agreement between the City of Shreveport, Cornerstone Assistance Foundation, Inc., and Southwood Gardens Adult Community Partnership in regard to Southwood Gardens Apartments, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Number 98 is a resolution selecting the Times as the official journal of the City of Shreveport for the period commencing July 1st, 2014 through June the 30th, 2015. And ordinance 56A was brought to our attention on Friday. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Zoning Ordinance, and it rezones property located in the northwest corner of West Canal and West 70th Street from B2 Business, Neighborhood Business District to B3 Community Business District. And it was brought to our attention that 56 had some language in it that shouldn't have been there, so these will replace those.
Okay, is it anyone like to speak in favor of adding these pieces of legislation to the agenda? If not, if there is anyone like to speak in opposition for adding these pieces of legislation to the agenda? If not, what's the pleasure of the council?
So move ahead.
It's been moved by Councilman Sam Jenkins this time and second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins. All in favor, please vote yes.
Mr. Chairman, we can now move into the regular agenda legislation. Would you like for me to start there?
Regular.
I'm sorry, so what now? I was...
Are you ready to go to the regular agenda legislation?
Let's pause for a minute. Ms. Sanders, is she in? I'm so sorry here. Blame that on my age. Not on me, jigaboo. What is that?
Councilman, I'm not going to blame anybody.
Blame that on my age.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Darryl.
Just a quick update on a high-priority master plan implementation project, our Shreveport-Caddo Unified Development Code. We are having a public meeting this Thursday, day after tomorrow, May 29th, Riverview Hall, that's 600 Clyde Fant Parkway, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Our consultants will be in town. They'll be presenting to the public their recommendations on how to actually write the code, all the different things that they're proposing to include in that first draft. So you're very welcome to come. We always love to have you at those meetings. And of course, we would very much appreciate you passing the word along to your constituents. Thank you.
Now, Darryl, did I understand there was going to be a problem with parking in an email?
There is another meeting scheduled at Riverview Hall that night. Okay. So, parking convenience may be an issue. I don't think parking will be an issue because there are so many parking lots. Okay. So on our Facebook page, we uploaded an image of a map of all of the surface and parking structures within the area around Riverview Hall, just to let people know where they can actually park their cars. And remember, there is free on-street parking along Commerce Street, so I can email that map out, I can print it out, whatever you think would be
email it.
Best. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Critchard, please come up. Mike and Oliver both brought it to my attention. And I told them when they get to have as much gray hair as I do, they'll understand.
I'm Adrienne Critcher, 817 Ontario Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. Mayor Glover, Chairman Shine, and City Council members, thank you for allowing me to speak briefly today. I'm here to speak about the Human Relations Commission ordinance that's on the agenda today, just to be introduced. I'm a member of a local organization called PACE, People Acting for Change and Equality, and we are in strong support of this ordinance. It's simply a follow-up to the Shreveport Fairness Ordinance that was passed in December. This Human Relations Commission will be the enforcement mechanism as specified in the Fairness Ordinance, so it's very straightforward. The fairness ordinance specifies that a first violation of the non-discrimination ordinance could result in a $500 fine, with subsequent violations that could result in a $1,000 fine. There are exemptions for religious nonprofits and small businesses, but we anticipate that the purpose of the Human Relations Commission will really be to educate and to mediate. The volunteer commission will be, it will be strictly a volunteer commission. It'll be composed of 9 members appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. Larry Bagneris of the New Orleans Human Relations Commission has talked to us here locally about their commission that's been in operation for 25 years. They have a lot of experience. 99% of their grievances are handled through mediation. So we think that this commission will be a good tool for unifying our city and bringing our city together. In New Orleans, most of the grievances come from the African American community, and even though African Americans do have recourse through the courts because of federal and state laws, oftentimes people don't want to file a lawsuit. They many times just want an apology. And so we believe that the purpose of this commission can educate, can mediate, and can really bring our city together. And as we've heard today, I think that's needed. So we think that this Human Relations Commission can really serve a great purpose in unifying people in our city. The New Orleans Commission gets about 1 or 2 grievances a month. They think that we would probably get less once our commission is started. So we just see that this would be a win-win for our city with all positive outcomes for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't generally do this, but I see 2 ladies sitting back in the back. Did you all sign to come up? We've had so many people. Another lady. I did want to come up, but I didn't sign one. I beg your pardon?
No, sir, I didn't sign one of the sheets, but I did want to come up.
Sean, you got a constituent over there.
I'm sorry, please, because some of them got misplaced. If I tell you, why don't you start up to the front, and
I think it may not be.
It might not be on an agenda item though.
So if it's not on
right, is it an agenda item?
But she said she wanted to talk.
It's not on the agenda? Oh, okay.
Okay, we're gonna move swiftly to the end, and then we'll get you. Could you want to come and sit right up there so we know we'll see you? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, come, Mr. Thompson, move on, please.
Number 88 authorizes the mayor to execute an amendment to the agreement with the Northwest Louisiana Youth Golf and Education Foundation, Inc., doing business as First Tee of Northwest Louisiana.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Sam Jenkins. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor vote yes, opposed is no. This piece of legislation passes with the 7-0 vote.
Number 89 authorizes the acceptance of $16,000 from the Community Foundation for the Paint Your Heart Out program.
It's been moved by Councilman Jeff Everson, second by...
What number is that?
89.
Did I get a second on that?
I gave
Second by Councilwoman Rose McCullough. Any questions or discussion? All in favor vote yes, opposed is no.
That's a 7-0 vote, I believe. Number
Yes, I'm
90
sorry, 7-0 vote.
Authorizes waiver of rental fees for Riverview Park Thursday through Sunday, May the 29th.
Been moved by Councilman Jeff Everson, second by Councilman Michael Corbin. All in favor vote yes, opposed is no. This piece of legislation passes with the 7-0 vote.
Number 92 authorizes the mayor to execute grant documents with the United States Department of Justice.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Jeff Everson, second by Councilwoman McCullough. Did I hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor vote yes. Who said you don't vote with the mayor?
7-0 vote, Mr. Chairman.
Number
That's
93
correct.
declares the city's interest in certain adjudicated properties as surplus.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Sam Jenkins, second by Councilman Michael Corbin. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor vote yes, opposed is no.
7-0 vote. Mr.
Yeah, I'm
Chairman,
sorry, 7-0 vote.
we're now on the introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to June the 10th, 2014. We would ask the council to consider removing number 95. You've added 95A to the agenda.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilwoman McCullough, second by Councilman Michael Corbin to remove this from the agenda. All in favor, vote yes. Opposed is no. This piece of legislation has been removed with a 7-0 vote.
We have the following items remaining. Number 94 authorizes the mayor to execute a donation agreement between the City of Shreveport and Providence Development LLC for the private water and sewer improvements for Providence Phase 2, Units A and B, and related facilities. 95A is a resolution authorizing a modification of the terms of the home loan agreement between the City of Shreveport, Cornerstone Assistance Foundation, Inc., and Southwood Gardens Adult Community Partnership in regards to Southwood Gardens Apartments and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. And the other item that was added, resolution number 98, the resolution selecting the times as the official journal for the City of Shreveport for the period commencing July 1st, 2014 through June the 30th, 2015.
Motion to introduce.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Jeff Everson, second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins for introduction. The legislation will be introduced. It will lay over until the next council meeting. At that time, it may or may not be acted upon. All in favor, vote yes. 7-0 vote for introduction.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to June the 24th, 2014.
May I interrupt 1 second? Did we introduce ordinance 97 and 96 or no?
I didn't hear it.
And so I didn't know if you were taking up.
Right,
That's where we are now.
right. We're on that.
Okay,
now.
but those were just to be introduced.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, but you, okay.
But they hadn't been read, right?
No, I'm about
we ain't
to.
got it yet.
They're just in two separate sections because of how long they have to be on the agenda.
Correct.
I got you, okay.
Yeah.
Number 96 affirms the City of Shreveport's endorsement of Home Federal Bank to participate in the benefits of the Louisiana Restoration Tax Abatement Program. And number 97 affirms the City of Shreveport's endorsement of Petroleum Building LLC to participate in the benefits.
So move for introduction on 96 and 97.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Jeff Everson and second by Councilman Mike Corbin for introduction. All in favor, vote yes. Opposed is no. Legislation has been introduced with a 7-0 vote.
Mr. Chairman, we are now in the introduction of ordinances not to be adopted prior to June the 10th, 2014. Again, we would ask you to consider removing number 56, which will be replaced by 56A.
Motion to remove number
That's
56.
you, Councilman Shine.
It's been moved by Councilman Jeff Everson, Mike Corbin, and second by,
Me?
there you go, by me, Councilman Oliver Jenkins. All right, all in favor, vote yes. Opposed is no. Legislation with a 7-0 vote.
The ordinances that remain are 55, amending and reenacting Chapter 39 of the Code of Ordinances relative to human relations, to establish a Human Relations Commission, to provide relative to its officers and powers, to provide relative to administrative matters, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Number 57 is a zoning matter C-30-14. It rezones property located on the northeast side of North Market, 1,200 feet north of Tanglewood Drive, and being also 190 feet northeast of North Market, from B2 Neighborhood Business District to B2E Neighborhood Business Extended Use District, limited to an indoor dog training,
So
grooming, and
moved.
other overnight boarding facility only. Number 58 is a zoning matter C-31-14. It rezones property located on the south side of Olive Street, bounded by Southern Avenue and Buckner Street, from B2 Neighborhood Business District to RAE Residence Agriculture Extended Use District, limited to a, quote, nonprofit community garden and otherwise an outreach facility only. Number 59 is a zoning matter C-32-14. It rezones property located on the northeast corner of Uri Drive and East Washington Street, 176 feet north of East Washington, from B2E Neighborhood Business Extended Use District to B3 Community Business District. And number 60 is a zoning ordinance C-33-14. It rezones property located on the southeast side of East 70th Street, 2,300 feet east of Dixie Gardens Road, from B2 Neighborhood Business District to B3 Community Business District. And the item that was added, 56A, it's an ordinance amending Chapter 106 of the Code by rezoning property located on the northwest corner of West Canal and West 70th Street from B2 to B3.
What's the pleasure of the council?
So moved for introduction.
It's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Mike Carbon for introductions. All in favor, vote yes. Opposers, no.
Your vote yes or no? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did you get my vote, B?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I got everybody
All right.
except Councilman Shine.
That's
You voted
okay.
Yes.
Yes. A
Mr.
big
Webb, you
smiley,
voted?
yes. Okay.
Mr. Webb voted no.
I did.
Okay, legislation introduced on a 6-1 vote. 1 against, 6 in favor.
None of them.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the ordinances on second reading and final passage. Number 36 has been postponed. Number 46 levies a tax of 8 64/100ths meals per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the bounds of the downtown development district.
Second. It's been moved by Councilman Jeff Everson, second by Councilman Mark Carvey. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor vote yes, opposers no. Piece of legislation passes with a 7-0 vote.
Number 47 levies various taxes totaling 17 65/100ths meals per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the city of Shreveport for the year 2014 in the amounts and for the purposes described herein.
Been moved by,
So moved. Second.
okay, by Councilman Carvin, second by Councilman Everson. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor vote yes, opposers no. Legislation passes with the 6-1 vote. I misread it, B.
Keep him on his toes.
Okay.
Number 48 levies a tax of 22 5/100ths meals per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the city of Shreveport for the year 2014 for the purpose of paying principal and interest on the outstanding general obligation bonds of the city of Shreveport and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Mike Carvin. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor vote yes, opposers no. This piece of legislation, Dale, I forgot, Ron, when he gets ready to run for the Senate seat over that way, he didn't want nobody to say he voted for taxes.
Down all taxes.
That's smart, okay. Ron.
I think we ought to pay our debts. I mean, I'm not for taxes, but
Yeah.
we got a debt out there. I think we're obliged to pay it, and I'm gonna have to vote for that. That's just the way it is.
Okay. All right.
The other one, that's a little different, but this one, you got a debt there, you gotta pay that one. You don't have a choice of deciding whether
B, you got it with a 6 for and 1 against.
Number 49 amends the 2014
Hillary will
general
win.
fund budget appropriating the funds authorized herein and otherwise providing with respect thereto. This concerns SPAR's budget, operating budget.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilman Sam Jenkins, second by
What are
Councilman
we
Oliver
appropriating
Jenkins.
funds for?
All in favor, vote yes, opposers no.
First Tee program.
Oh, okay.
Legislation passes with a 7-0 vote.
Number 50 amends the 2014 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Jeff Everson, second by Councilman Sam Jenkins. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor vote yes, opposers no. Legislation passes with a 7-0 vote.
Me?
Me, second it. Okay.
The elder.
Number
Oh, wait a minute.
Number 51 will close and abandon a 50-foot wide portion of Independence Avenue running between South Fairway Drive and Cloverdale in the Country Club Heights Subdivision Unit 5 located in Section 8 Township 17 North Range 14 West Caddo Parish.
It's been moved by
Councilwoman McCullough, that's your district.
McCullough. That's you.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and second by Councilman Sam Jenkins. I almost said the older Jenkins, but Councilman Sam Jenkins. Sam, I take that back. Legislation passes with a 7-0 vote.
Number 52 authorizes the mayor to execute a contract with Dr. David Clemens to grant access and permission to plant and maintain live oak trees on the east right-of-way of Crestwell Avenue. There was talk of postponing this at the administrative conference.
It's been moved by Councilman Mike Carvin to
How long of a
postpone.
contract
Second.
is he wanting?
I don't know if there's a
This contract.
He's doing some landscape work on his own dime, and this is just releasing some liability.
Yeah, the whole contract.
He's like putting trees in.
You got to second it,
I'll show
right?
you where it is.
Yeah, okay.
Oliver Jenkins.
It makes sense when you see it.
Yeah.
I like your new glasses over there, B. All in favor?
And her hair
yes.
looks good too.
Very much. Wow, B. B.
Just slung
Man.
around, huh?
Miss Scott, you saw that, huh?
She saw it.
All right.
Number 53 amends the 2014 capital improvements budget.
Motion to postpone.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Rose McCullough to postpone. All in favor, vote yes. Opposed, no. Piece of legislation has been postponed.
Number 54 amends, authorize an amendment to the agreement and lease with MB Industries LLC. There was a discussion of postponing this at the administrative.
So moved to
conference.
postpone.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Mike Carvin, in order to postpone this piece of legislation. All in favor, vote yes. Opposed, no. Legislation has been postponed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I got a headache, y'all, please forgive me.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for the record, just want council to know that we will be sitting and visiting with council, starting with Councilman Corbin and other members of the council between now and June 10th to further detail the provisions so that we'll be in a position to have everyone fully briefed, any questions or concerns answered or resolved by now in the next meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we are now under table legislation. At the administrative conference, I told Mr. Sam Jenkins that I would remind him about ordinance number 89 of 2011 to remove it from the table.
Yeah, I want to remove that from the table. I believe we have addressed those concerns in the previous amendment to our solid waste ordinance.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Sam Jenkins, second by Councilman
The
Oliver
agenda, I
Jenkins.
said table, but from the agenda.
I want to completely remove it.
From the agenda.
You want to move it from the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, to move it from the agenda. B, did you get that? Yes, sir. All right. All in favor, vote yes. Opposed, no. 7-0 vote, this piece of legislation will be removed from the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware of any other matters that are on the table where any action will be taken.
Mr. Thompson, thank you very much.
I believe all of the property standards appeals were taken up at the administrative conference. The alcoholic beverage appeals were taken up at the administrative conference. We have another appeal that will be postponed until June the 9th, 2014.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The appeal concerning the Animal Services Board has been postponed until June the 9th, 2014.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, thank you. Reports from officers, boards, and committees. And Mr. Thompson, you've done such an excellent job. If it's all right with Councilman Oliver Jenkins, your best friend, we will bypass a report from the clerk unless it's something that you...
No, sir.
Okay. I know how Oliver is. Oliver likes for you to give your reports. Okay.
Work a full day and earn a fair wage. That's kind of
Although
what I'm all about.
Although I do
Thank you,
believe
sir.
Mr. Thompson has something under his report.
Okay.
He said it already.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Let's move into committee of a whole. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilwoman Rose McCullough, that we will move into a committee of a whole. All in favor, vote yes. Opposed is no. Okay.
Do one better and even approve the minutes.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Councilman Oliver Jenkins has made the motion in order to approve of the minutes of May 13th, 2014. Can I get a second? Okay. It's been second. Did you get that? Second by Council. Okay, all in favor, vote yes. Opposed, no. Okay, the minutes have been approved.
Mr. Oliver Jenkins, is he still here?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not showing up.
Mr. Webb?
Yeah, Mr. Webb is still here.
Did you vote against that one?
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Communications from the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Shine. I want to, first of all, just once again start by thanking Councilwoman McCullough and the members of this council for conducting the day's public hearing. I want to thank all of the citizens who came out today to be a part, to share their thoughts, to share their sentiments. Again, want to express my regrets and apologies for those who did not get a chance to express themselves as fully and as completely as some others were afforded the opportunity to do so. But I think that the opportunity to be able to share this information directly and unfiltered, either through the media or through other individuals, is something that is helping to enlighten and empower our citizens to be able to see exactly what our situation and circumstances are. I certainly hope that we'll manage to be able to figure out some way to be able to have the city to go forward. The reality of allowing all of these issues and matters to lay over until the next mayor and the next city council has some potentially very dire circumstances in terms of the viability of those projects going forward. But not the least of our concerns would be the fact that this would be, I think, the dog park council. And that would ultimately end up being the largest and biggest characterization of this administration, as I said earlier, and this council. As I mentioned on my earlier comments, the Architects and Engineers Committee will gather on tomorrow, assuming they have a quorum. They're going to review, and they're going to select 3 design professionals that they're going to recommend to me as the mayor to pick from. We're going to pick one of those firms. We're going to negotiate a contract with them. And in short order, that contract will be signed, that work will be underway, and you could very well have ground being turned, if not a complete facility, for dogs in this city before this year is up. The truth of the matter is that we have elevated pets over people, and we need to figure out some way to come back and get focused on what it is that folks have sent us here to do, and that's to be about the business of moving this city forward. And so I look forward to hopefully having a chance to be able to continue this dialogue, not just with our citizens, but each of you all as well, and see if we can't come up with some way, in some fashion, to be able to do what it is that the folks have given us the duty and the responsibility for. The biggest concern for all of us should be is that there are going to be other needs and other issues that this city is going to have to face and to address in years to come. Based upon what has taken place over the last 3 years, based upon what the Parish Commission just encountered several weeks ago, the ability for any future administration or future council to be able to effectively go before the citizens of this city and offer to them a body of work to be done with a commitment that it will be done can only be held in absolute doubt based upon the collective inaction that has been demonstrated here. I'll go back to my earlier point that I've made again and again. Selecting the financial advisor is a part of the administrative team that we put in place to be able to do the work of the administration that we in turn present to the council. Selecting the council staff, Arthur Thompson as your clerk of council, Jackie White as your council analyst, Lennis Graham as your internal auditor. Those are the duties and responsibilities of the city council. For me to interject myself into those efforts and operations because I have some issue or concern about the qualifications and worthiness of Arthur Thompson to fulfill his duties would be inappropriate if the council has decided by majority vote that that's who you want. For you all to interject yourself into the province of this administration under the basis of which you've done so. And again, Mr. Cesario, you are absolutely correct. The assumption is that there was something wrong. We have stepped forward and withstood absolute every level and degree of scrutiny from this council, from its investigators, from its local media. There are folks who would love to have the realistic possibility that there is something amiss with this administration. That's the kind of news, just like a dog park, that leads. It's the good news that follows, or the bad news, rather, bad news that leads is the good news that trails. So if there's anything that's there or was there possible, those things would be known. Now, again, we look forward to continuing this dialogue. I encourage the citizens out there to not rest, to not cease, to not allow some of the disrespectful treatment that some of you all may have received today to discourage you, but to continue to push, continue to press, and ultimately to demand that we act and we do exactly what it is that you've done by electing us, and that is expect us to serve the interests of the city of Shreveport. With that, Mr. Chairman, turn it back over to you.
Mr. Serio, you can see what our problem is, and I hope that you would know that we're not known as a dog park council. Maybe that's what the mayor wanted to be, and because I've heard the people say the mayor would be known as the dog park mayor. We work down here. There are some things that we agree on, there are some things that we disagree on, and you know, I'm not going to talk about a council member because they might not agree with me on something, and I hope that they will not talk about me because I don't agree with them on something. This is what democracy is all about. I've been down here for a long time, and some things we agreed on and some things we didn't. I've never had mayors who have made derogatory criticisms about people that they have to work with. Anybody who's intelligent knows that that's not the way you get things done. If you criticize your wife all the time at home because she does not maybe agree with you on something, you ain't gonna have no marriage long. And if you are female, if you criticize your husband because they don't agree with you all the time, you're not gonna have a marriage. I've been elected time and time again to come down from my district, and they elect me because evidently I do a good job. And maybe if I lived in the mayor's district, I might not have been elected, not one time. If I knew then what I know now, there's a certain person that I never would have campaign on behalf. And I hope that we can get to the point where we don't have to do this. If we disagree, we don't have to be disagreeable. Councilman Oliver Jenkins, do you have anything else to say? If not, I'll come to Councilman Mike Carbon.
Not on this matter, but I do have some communications.
Please.
Okay, unrelated. First thing, there's a letter sent out by essentially the retirement board, and there's an initial proposal out there. This, I believe, Wednesday and Thursday.
Mr. Chairman, can I just make one observation?
Is it on what he's talking about?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Councilman, you don't mind it?
No, I'm happy to.
Just a point, we are in the committee of the whole.
Yes.
I believe that these are comments that you're about to make that actually should be in the minutes.
And I'll be honest with you, I agree with you. My initial reason why I moved to the committee of the whole was in honor of John McGinnis. But then when I was going through my notes, I forgot about the ERS. So I guess his point is valid. We'll wait till the end of the meeting
and
when we go back in,
right,
and I'll make my comments relative to that.
Thank
you.
The
reason that I was going to make some comments before was just to say, kind of how sad I was in the passing of John McGinnis, which happened unexpectedly Saturday evening or Sunday this weekend. And certainly somebody that, in my opinion, has done a great deal for the state in terms of what goes on and interest for people across the state. And I think maybe there was a time that North Louisiana didn't really have much idea what was going on in South Louisiana and Baton Rouge if it weren't for people like him who made politics or policy interesting to a broad group of our citizens. And I do appreciate some of the things that he has done for both the transparency of political policy. Granted, like any any well-published author. He's got some friends and foes out there that maybe some have been insulted by him, but I certainly think on a balance, he has done more for the state than against it, and I certainly have appreciated his professional acts over the years. So that was my committee of the whole. A good point on the ERS thing. We'll bring that up back when the meeting starts back up.
Jeff?
I'm good.
Great.
I'll be
I'm
brief.
good as well.
All right. Rose?
I'm good, and I just, I've shared with my constituency and other constituents in other districts. Matter of fact, I attended North Highlands Association meeting, and before I got started talking, the first thing I told them, let me explain something to you all. You know, you might see us fighting up in that council, but one thing I know is that I love Ron, Ron loves me, I love Jeff, Jeff loves me, and I didn't say Uncle Joe. I said Joe Shine loves me, I love him. We all love each other. And I'm just hoping and praying that we can, you know, get past all of what has gone on and kind of work things out in the best interest of the citizens. And even if it doesn't go my way, I'm praying that it goes God's way. Just know that I still love you.
Rose, I appreciate you saying that. I've been down here a long time. Matter of fact, me and your dad used to meet a lot. That's how you got to calling me Uncle Joe, all that good chicken that used to come by.
Ever since I was a child.
That's exactly right. All that good chicken that used to come by, and Hearst and I even taught school together. And matter of fact, your dad and the mayor's dad and I walked the Dave Raines when it wasn't anything on that, but just an old building, because Rose, you're not old enough to remember that, because you just 32.
Good. No, I'm 57.
No, you just 32, Rose. See, if you be 57, then that's gonna make me older.
Okay.
And we all learn how to work together. Now, although we might have disagreed on different things, but we didn't come back and try to punch one another in the stomach time and time again, because you don't get anything done like that.
Well,
you know, when you're dealing with real people, the only thing you do is just make them harder and tougher. But you're right. You fight, you get over it, you love, you hug, you kiss.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And you keep on. But that old bullying that you come back, Rose, you don't get anything done. I'm sorry. Let's move into public comments, and Sammy, we're gonna keep you last. And who is the lady over here, right there? Please come up and give us your name, and the other two ladies back there. Would you all please start up to the front? And yes, I don't see as well as I used to.
You see well enough to know who I am. I'm Desire Crawford, 646 West 68th Street,
That's true.
Shreveport,
All right.
71106.
Okay.
And I have a personal concern that goes back as far as 2007.
Okay.
And I've been dealing with this through every channel that I thought I should go through. Started back with Mr. Shine, when he was my councilman, during the time when they was doing all the work for the senior citizens in Shreveport, and they did all the inadequate work. And I'm one of the persons that got the bulk of the inadequate work. I've sent letters to the mayor's office.
Well, I'm sorry, let me just stop. Is that dealing with housing?
Yeah.
Could,
Bonnie Moore.
Miss Moore, would you please come up?
I have some
Well, hold
pictures.
on. Let Miss Moore come up, because that's going to be your contact person. And then Mr. Sibley. That's the boss man.
Okay. Now can I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know very well who Ms. Moore is. I'm sure Ms. Moore knows who I am, because I've dealt with Ms. Moore before. But like I say, this started way back in 2007. I started contacting the mayor, the councilman, and everybody that I thought I should contact in 2008. It started with a water problem. I sent a communication to the mayor's office. He turned me over to the assistant turned me over to the water department. The water department sent me back to the mayor's office. The mayor's office sent me back to the assistant. So this is what I've been going through. But my biggest problem right now, that in September of last year, when they started to relocate the gas meters, they came out and busted up my yard to run the gas line. In the process, they broke something down there, and I have a humongous water flood. It's not a water leak, it's a water flood. I have some pictures that I want to leave with somebody. They broke my driveway. I contacted them on several different occasions. Ron Clark, Ricky Dunn. Again, I wrote another letter to the mayor's office. I got no reply. Came down to the mayor's office, talked with Ms. Jenkins. She informed me to send another letter to her along with all of the pictures that I have. I did that, still no reply. And I talked with Mr. Jenkins. I was hoping that he would not leave. Called his office. He told me without a doubt last month that he was going to bring it to the council, because I talked with him the day of the council meeting, and that he was going to bring it before the council and he would get something in place. This has become very, very, very uncomfortable for me, because I have to continue now to turn my water off. If it's raining and I can't go out and turn the meter off, then that means I can't take a bath. So this is very uncomfortable. Something needs to be done about this, and needs to be done about it now. I've gone through all the chains of commands that I know, the mayor, the councilman. So as of today, I don't know who I'm going to give these pictures to, but I need to give these pictures to someone that can see how they left my driveway. I had a young man to fall the other day, but just happened my car was sitting right there, and it caught him right at my driveway. They just busted it up and left, and where I have to go from my driveway to my car, it's very, very dangerous, very dangerous. So hopefully, this will be resolved, and I will get some kind of,
Please give it to Mr. Sibley. Mr. Sibley is the boss man beside the mayor. Now, you know, the mayor is his boss, but Mr. Sibley is the man that's responsible for the day-to-day operations of the city.
Okay.
And I thought it was something that...
No. This is something, this has to do with the city.
Well, this is Mr.
It's your water line.
This is Mr. Sibley and the mayor.
Part of it is.
Yes.
That's Mr. Sibley and the mayor. Okay. Ms. Moore, thank you for coming up here. I thought it was something about, you know, houses and yes, ma'am. Young lady right there. Now, I know the other young lady in the back. Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Yeah, she's right over there.
Oh, she is.
I know it's Miss Farpay back in the back. I knew her when she was a girl. I knew her mama too. Her mama was a great Gremlin supporter.
Okay, hey, good evening,
And I know her
everyone.
brother.
Oh.
Both of them.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Erica Fape, 8200 Ponds Road. Came here last meeting, spoke briefly with you guys about just the progression of the city.
You the youngest then, huh?
I am the youngest.
That's why I don't know you. That's why I don't know you.
Okay, yeah. So basically, where I am right now is I can come up here all day and complain about what's not happening, what's not working, basically what y'all hear every day, day in, day out. But I'm more so about figuring out what's the solution. That's where I am. I sent you an email. I know you're ridiculously busy, so.
I didn't get one from you.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll.
Yeah, that's another reason I just want
We'll
to come back
connect
again today.
and see, maybe the address got wrong or something.
Right. So basically, that's just really, I just want to make some brief statements on that. This will be my first time voting here. I unfortunately didn't have the privilege of voting for any of you guys, so this time around, I'm really paying attention to who is going to be in your seats this go round. Just wanting to see a change. I know y'all have heard about what happened. Well, some of y'all may have or may not, that there are now celebrities outside of this city discussing how we're behind. So, and I just think that's unacceptable, basically. So, I mean, basically that's all I had to say. I mean, me and Councilman Everson are going to get together about that. So, just thank y'all for your time, and hopefully we'll be able to progress a little bit more.
Ms. Farpay, we appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
And please come down again, because it's young people like you that's gonna have to get involved.
Right.
And we're gonna have to have more young people like you.
Oh, I have a lot coming with me.
But that's
on the
what
10th.
we need,
Right.
because it's
Mhm.
gonna take a lot for change.
Right.
You know, and sometimes change comes slow. It's an evolution type process.
Right.
So please come back, and your sister and I worked together for a while at Fair Park High School.
My mama?
Wait a minute. Is that your mama?
That is my mother.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, you all look like sisters. All right.
Okay. Anybody else? No, Sammy.
Sammy? Oh yeah, and we got Marvin. Marvin, did you want to come back up after Sammy? Absolutely. You think you can follow a good speaker like Sammy, or you think Sammy ought to follow you? Now, because Sammy's a home run hitter. Come on, Sammy.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, apartment M110, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. This past Saturday night going into Sunday morning, we had a very serious problem that woke up several people. And it had to do with about 4 gunshots that were fired over at our place, and the police have been called out, but they never came. Of course, I have no problem with firecrackers as long as they're not too close to the building I live in. However, I do not like gunshots being fired at the same time that firecrackers are being fired. Firecrackers, okay, but when anyone fires gunshots, even around during the 4th of July or around December or something like that, we do have a problem with that, and it was addressed by Cedric Glover before that if they happen to come out, if the police do come out and they are caught doing this, that they will be arrested. So I hope by the 4th of July that only firecrackers will be allowed to be fired and not any gunshots. It's ridiculous. We can't have this going on because it disturbs the rights of others who are trying to sleep or to mind their own business. So I just wanted to address this to your attention in case it does come up around the 4th of July. Firecrackers are okay, but I hate gunshots. Thank you.
Thank you, Sammy. Marvin, you might be able to follow that. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate you not putting the time on me this time, so I'll begin by closing out my first statement when I was saying that, and I also agree with you that the criticism back and forth isn't necessary. However, there must be lawful deliberative dialogue, and when lawful deliberative dialogue is not an option, then sometimes the door has to be kicked in to get any type of conversation at all, to be able to get at the table. However, at this point, I'm coming for us with ordinance number 28 of 2014, which of course I was able to come down, and we believe that we negotiated and compromised a piece of an ordinance that would serve all purposes. However, it has come to my attention in a conversation that I had today with Assistant Chief Smith, Wayne Smith, that there are some interpretations that I don't think we was willfully trying to do. There's intersections that we are trying to be on that crosses, for instance, Jewella and Hollywood. One is a 35, the other one is a 40. And it wasn't on our impression that we wouldn't be able to work those intersections. So we're gonna ask that they be in some type of amendment, that those intersections that I believe that was approved, that we can work those intersections. So our permit that we filled out, the application for the permit that we filled out was consequently denied. So we really right back to square one until we can get this resolved.
Have you had a chance to get with Councilman Oliver Jenkins and Sam Jenkins to see, to really get it?
I mean, let me just say this. this is really the first I've heard of it, and I mean, and I'm not saying sounds like he found out today.
I did.
and
I actually-
He hadn't had time to either talk to myself or Sam, it's what
Right.
I'm guessing. I mean, so
Right.
that's,
I did find out today, and, you know, and again, it's an interpretation issue that I believe is easily resolved by pushing up the speed limit on the in the ordinance up to 40 miles an hour, which would include those intersections that was pre-approved, but at the same time still doesn't allow us to get on the state highways, the expressways, and the passageways that was, of course, excluded. And of course, anything other than that. I believe that it would be the most simplistic and most simple way to move forward.
I thought I'm sorry, but I thought I saw you all at the corner of Jewel and Hollywood.
Well, we was informed that we couldn't be at that 4-point intersection. So in order to not to be in difference and defiance of the law, we decided to remove ourselves so they wouldn't be in further conflict until the matter could be resolved judicially.
Councilman Jenkins.
okay, and it is my recollection. I'm gonna confer with my colleague and Attorney Glass. And we had this discussion, and I believe what we agreed to was that if the street crossing is higher than 35, then it was off limits. That, you know, one of the two streets was enough to make the whole 4 intersection off limits. Okay, but that's the way I remember it. Because we were worried about this confusion about, well, are we on the side that's 35, or are we on the side that's 45, and how could the police interpret whether I was soliciting on the 35 side of the street or the 45 side of the street. And so in order to simplify it for enforcement, I believe we came to the agreement, that is Councilman Jenkins and myself, on what those amendments were at the last minute, that we would eliminate those intersections altogether. But
If I could, Councilman Jenkins, what I believe that you might be referring to is, and it's a very similar dilemma as far as the state highways that we omitted: Uri Drive, Hearn Avenue, Greenwood Road, Highway 511, 70th Street. In those instances, we agreed that we would not ask for those intersections that was crossing that. So right. So I think that's where your thoughts might be. But in this instance, I was under the assumption that we would have access to those intersections. That's why I was so easily and readily to submit those intersections, because we would still have access to other intersections in the city. But without these intersections that crosses the 40-mile-hour zones, then we right back where we started from, but essentially just not having any access at all.
okay, and I think I'll just say this: I think between email, Sam and I and Julie will get together and make sure we're clear on what we had agreed to. Because I hate to give you a response right this minute, because I'm not sure what would transpire between the emails and the discussion. So, appreciate you bringing that up. The onus is on us to kind of give you some answer on it.
Okay, good deal. And I'll send out an email to yourself.
Send it to Sam particularly, because he's not here right now. We'll
Right.
talk to him about it, but I don't want to misrepresent what you're saying.
Indeed.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Marvin, thank you. Fine trouble. Is this, I believe we are at the end, we're gonna go back into our regular session.
Yes.
And,
I got a comment.
shoot it.
Okay. Are we back in the
Yeah.
regular session? Okay. So, earlier last week, there was a letter sent out to the department heads and then subsequently disseminated to employees about proposed changes from the Employee Retirement System Board to the retirement system and how that's calculated. As you know, there are 6 or 8 of us that sit on that. I do know there's one council representative. I do know that Dale Sibley sits on it. I know the mayor has a seat on there. I know there are 2 retirees on there and then 2 current employees. So however many that number is, those are, I believe, who make up that board. We have been working on some ways to make our retirement system and the fund viable for the long term. And so this is a proposal that is totally at the board level. At this point, we're looking for input from employees, stakeholders, what have you. This Wednesday at 5 p.m. and Thursday at 5 p.m. at Riverview Hall. We all intend to be there in our capacities at whatever times we can work out that date to take that input. This proposal has not come before the city council at this point. This is at the committee level, just like we do in public safety or any other type of committee. We come up with, from the committee standpoint, and make a proposal to the council, but we recognize it's an opportunity to get stakeholders' input at this stage in the game. I have sent all of you all an email of what that proposal is today. What that discussion is going to be. Certainly welcome input at the council level, at the meeting on Wednesday or Thursday. Come in, sit in, and listen to what their, the employees' issues are. But to say that this issue is a fait accompli at this point is definitely an understatement. We are in the discussion phase and proposal stage rather than it hadn't shown up on our agenda. Though, frankly, if you do the math, I have to tell you there's ways to be more drastic, but there are definitely not too many ways to keep it viable over the next 30 years if we don't take these measures. And I'd be happy to debate that with anybody that has some additional proposals. Are there areas to, reconfigure? Absolutely. But for every bit of that, there's going to have to be every give, there's going to have to be some take. Because financially, we are just, frankly underfunded at this stage. So that's my, I'll call it sort of editorial comment. But, I do think it is extremely important for the long-term viability of the system, the employees, and the city of Shreveport that we tackle a rather urgent matter at this point.
Councilman, thank you. One other remark. Sibley.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thompson, council members, please stay in touch with Coach Carter.
Bless you. Bless you, bless you.
And see how much they need, because Councilman Jenkins and Councilman Carvin and all of the council members, Shelley, we're going to see if we can raise maybe the first couple of weeks right quick, and then we're going to still continue to raise. And I'm going to ask Mr. Thompson to get with you, and we want to prepare a budget amendment so we can make sure, Shelley, that these young people have an opportunity to enjoy a good track season. And Jeff is going to be with us, and Rose and Ron, and if we have to knock on some doors and beg some preachers and some business folks, that we can get this money where these young people can be able to enjoy a good track season. And goes, as old as I am, I might, the mayor and I might get out and show them youngsters how to hand the stick off in a 440.
Hurdle.
Mayor, we might have to call 911 for myself, but I'm gonna give it a shot, because we need. I mean, this is, out of all the haggling and discussions we go through, we want to make sure that we take care of these young people. So, Mr. Thompson, would you please do that? And Oliver, would you, and Michael, would you all please start making some connections so that we can raise some money to get, so these youngsters will have a good summer. And I just forgot, man, we might have to the sprung over here. Has got on this blue jacket, you know.
That was never my thing. I can tell you I got some sports in me, but track and field, I've never really found my calling out there.
Okay,
More of a distance man, Mr. Shine.
okay. And 'cause Ron and I might have to flip the coin.
Okay, heads I win, tails you lose.
Now that's great. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all. Gentlemen, appreciate everything.
Stand.